All right, you ready to dive right in?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so as always, I want to start with the most important question first. So, you just released the third episode in your Alien series. When are you going to release the much anticipated fourth episode of the M&M Minute?
Oh man, well then I'd have to reunite with my old, high school classmate. It's we'd have to get the just like they say whenever they want to get a reunion for a movie or a TV show. Like, well, if the writers, the directors, the producers, if it's the same team and the script is good enough, I'll return. That's what I've always said. And no, Eminem Minute, yeah, everyone finds that like, and I think at the time when you would Google my name, it would be like the only thing that popped up. So I know even when I'm on my YouTube, it will pop up and it'll be like people also watch, and I'm like, why? Like, but yeah.
I love that thing, dude. Like when I found it, it had like 300 views, and all the comments were like, "Is that
Yeah.
Mitch?"
Yeah, it was very like you could tell like all I watched was like Smosh and like, that era of YouTube. You could see it like in real time.
I love it, man. Well, okay, so I guess sticking on the YouTube thing a bit. So you've I think your stuff has always had a little bit of an ASMR quality in terms of just the vocals
Mm,
being very quiet, and now you're, calling the
mhm,
videos ASMR and doing
mhm.
more so of an actual like this is ASMR thing. I'm curious, how much of the desire to get into ASMR or do it that way is because you just need to be like quiet where you live?
Honestly, the reason why I started calling it ASMR and like kind of leaning more into like the ASMR like category was because a lot of the comments were like asking, they were like I listen to this as ASMR, or like can you make like actual ASMR? I listen to it. So it does lend itself because I think naturally I can be very loud and I hate like how loud I get sometimes. Like, so I'll like try to make myself quieter. So like when I make videos and stuff, I think naturally I'm like quieter. And then yeah, I do usually film them like really late at night. Which is like as you're saying, another motivation to be quieter. But I mostly did it because people were like requesting it, and it's just doing well, so I was like, "Oh, I'll keep doing that." But I kinda, like, try to make it I still, like, do what I did before. I still play a little music. I still, like, talk, um, but also, like, I used to make videos where I kinda just talked, and I ran out of stuff to talk about, and kind of felt myself, like, being stretched where I was like, "W I don't wanna post." I wanted to post every week, but I didn't have anything to say. And I was like, but coming up with like a silly ASMR idea is like so much more like exciting and fun. And then maybe I'll have like, oh yeah, maybe I'll talk about this little real nugget of my life for like a couple minutes at the end or something. So, but yeah, yeah.
Well, it's an interesting little thing, right? Because I think you hit the nail on the head of something I was going to ask about, right? Like when you were starting out your YouTube channel, or I guess I don't know exactly when it started. Obviously, the
Mhm.
the more modern stuff was probably like I don't know, 6 months ago, a year ago, whatever it is. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Um,
Mhm.
when you were starting with it, it does seem like it was starting off with, you know, hi, I'm Mitch. I got this going on in my life today, and
Mhm.
oh wait, oh, there's something in your ear. Now here's a little bit, and then you end with a song, and it feels like
Yeah.
now you've kind of flipped that a little bit. Whereas
Yeah.
obviously you start with the wait a minute, there's something in your ear, and you pull out like I don't know, like a 12-inch butt plug or whatever, and then
Yeah.
that's the video.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and then where am I going with this? I think what is interesting to me is you seem to be experimenting a lot
Mm.
with the Mitch isms, you know? And I guess when I think about experimentation, when I think about artists experimenting, I think a lot of times it's because they're trying to get to something and they don't
Mm.
quite know how to do it yet. Do you
Mm.
know what you're
Mm.
experimenting to reach?
Yeah, I that's a good question because I think, like you said, yeah, like flipped. I love a format. I love, like, I grew up watching like late night and like Muppets and like all things that are very like a show, like vaudeville. Like there's a segment here, music here, segment here. So yeah, I did like tweak it a lot where I was like, okay, well, I mean, I do kind of miss the whole element of me talking and then just like when I run out of something to say, I just like pull something out that's stupid. Like that was kind of like why I did that because I was like, oh, that'll be fun. But um I think maybe I'm building towards this might be a hot scoop. I think today I decided last night, I was like, okay, I'm gonna live stream every Friday and I'm gonna make it like not a live stream where I'm just sitting and like, hey, like I want it to be like a show, like with segments and like maybe like something like this where it'd be like, I got a guest coming on, it's Bongo, and then you pop
Yeah,
up,
yeah.
and so I think like maybe that's like what it's building towards. I don't really know. 'Cause I'm like, I don't know, part of me in my brain is like, are people gonna get sick of ASMR? Or am I gonna get sick of that? But at the same time, my ASMR isn't really like I mean, it's not like, I don't know, like,
It's
I'm
different,
not
different thing.
it's yeah, like, I feel like I have freedom to kinda just have fun, so I don't know if I'll ever get tired of it, but, yeah, I think I'm always gonna experiment. I don't know if I'm working towards something though, but I think for people who start YouTube channels and stuff, and like, I think that's so key to just like experiment and like, the aliens, like I did that first on TikTok, and I like loved doing that and people liked it. I was like, when I couldn't think of something to do for my YouTube, I was like, oh, let me do the aliens. Like, just naturally like experiment kind of without a goal, and I think it'll kind of form into something. Like you'll start seeing the shape, but yeah, so I don't know if I have an end product in mind, but yeah.
Mitch, you and me were simpatico right now, because like, so it's funny. You touched on a bunch of things I was going to ask about, right? I wrote down here. I wrote down, what influence did Pee Wee Herman and children's TV have on your YouTube channel? And you were just getting into that, right? The format of it and the Muppets and
Yes,
all that kind of stuff.
love Pee-wee.
You and me, Mitch. You and me. So
Yes, it's because I talk too much. It's
no,
because
you're
I'm
doing great.
yapping.
You're doing
No.
great. So this is another one of those questions that won't make any sense until I explain it, but I just thought I was so clever, so
Hmm.
I wrote it down. Um, let's see. Were you doing an ace brendage in the description of your new video?
An eight. Wait, can you repeat that? An ace what?
Were you doing an ace brendage in the
Who's
description
Ace
of your new
Brendage?
video? Oh, you don't know ace brendage?
No.
Oh, Mitch, he's huge where I grew up in Spokane. I guess well, maybe not maybe not Spokane as much. He's like he was big in my house. It was a character my dad made up. I should mention that. Um, and he used to do this thing where he would be telling us the stories. Ace Brendage was like this. It was like a teenage, like a mohawk, and I think he worked for like George. He was like a spy for George W. Bush or something. Um, and then like so we would all be sitting on the bed, and my dad would be telling us these stories, right? And then I remember, and I didn't realize it at the time, but like when he ran out of a story, he'd be like, "So, what do you guys think happened next?" And then I noticed that in the description of the new ASMR video, the third Alien series,
Oh
like,
yeah.
"What do you guys think's gonna happen?"
I see that. I was just joking. That was exactly what I intended to be Ace Brendage. Because your dad's Ace Brendage has made its way down to New Jersey. It was actually very popular here as well. No, that's actually so sweet, by the way. That is such a sweet, funny thing. That's such a dad thing. But yeah, I think I started doing that. I think do you ever watch like Atlanta? Did you ever watch that show?
Sure, yeah, love Atlanta.
So Atlanta's like one of my favorite shows, and the descriptions of TV shows, it's usually like this happens, like when you're reading it
Yeah,
on,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
streaming or something. But
yeah.
Atlanta has this like secret character that is the descriptions of each episode. It'll be like yo guys, this one's crazy. Like and it's just like they're so funny. So when I make comments or video descriptions, I kind of think like that because I stress out. I'm like crazy where like I'm like, like last night I deleted my Instagram, TikTok bios like 20 times because I was trying to like, what should my bio be? Like, I'll like overanalyze stuff like that. So to not do that, I just do this like character being like, what do you guys think? Comment below. Like I will usually write that, or like a lot of like, I don't know, yeah, just, and also it's fun because people comment. People have commented really funny stuff. They're like, I think the aliens should like move in together and then get divorced, and that like people like, so obviously that's really fun too. But yeah, honestly, it's a lot of it is because I love Atlanta so much, and it's like it's a mechanism so I don't overthink commenting and stuff. But
I
yeah.
love that. And like, dude, that show absolutely kicks ass. I still need to watch seasons
Yes.
3 and 4, but
Oh,
absolutely adore that
so
show.
good. So
Again,
good.
another very important question for you here. How many high fives do you think you've given out as Spider-Man?
How did I ever tell you that? That's like a genuine, like, how did you find that out? I probably definitely mentioned it somewhere, I guess. Oh my God. That's a great question. It was only one summer that I worked as Spider-Man for birthday parties. And honestly, probably like hundreds. Because I would sometimes do like school was letting out in Atlantic City at this like elementary school, and they had me as Spider-Man, and I probably gave out like 300 high fives because kids come back. That's a great, yeah. Dude, that job is hard as like I was sweating, and then they think you're Spider-Man. It sucks because like all the other superheroes and there's like princesses, they don't have to do anything, but you're Spider-Man. They're like expecting you to like be doing like gymnastics and stuff. And then I was just like, oh my God. And they had this big inflatable slide and at the school, and they were like, Spider-Man. And I got peer pressured from all these like, like 8-year-olds, and I flipped, and like I did like a flip, and I don't ever do flips. I don't know how to do flips. Like I didn't grow up with a trampoline, but I flipped and I expected like, oh, I'll roll down, and I just like flipped like off of it and then like landed in the middle of the slide. And because I'm like a grown, I mean, I was like 18, 19, 6 foot. It like went woof, and I remember like slamming on the ground, and then I was just like, oh, like, and then they're like Spider-Man, and they're all like, like crowding around me and like punching me, and I was just like, oh, like it was the stupidest. But yeah, but the answer to your question, probably 500 high fives. Final answer.
Oh man, I absolutely
uh,
love that. Okay, so dive in deep into the Mitch lore here. What can
yeah.
you say about the impact on you of Napoleon Dynamite?
Oh, I love that movie so much. I watch it like, I don't know, at least once a year, but probably like more. I have it like on my laptop, like definitely. I think as a kid, that came out when I was like I don't know how old I was, maybe like 10 or something. Um, that was like the first time I've seen something that was like indie or like different really. And I loved Pokemon and all this like huge stuff, but I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. And I think it opened up my mind. I watched Napoleon Dynamite, and that led me to like Flight of the Concords, and that led me to, like Michelle Gondry and Spike Jones. Like it just kind of like led me to all this other stuff that really like inspired me. So I feel like Napoleon Dynamite was like the gateway, and it's like probably shaped my sense of humor and like just stuff I love. And when we toured the Midwest, I just really wanted to go to like Idaho and stuff like that because I was like, I want to go to the town. But yeah, I love that movie.
Same with I rewatched School of Rock when I was talking to Orno in the
Yeah.
same way. I
Yeah.
rewatched Napoleon Dynamite before I talked to you.
Yeah.
And dude, let me tell you, I hadn't seen that movie in probably 15 years. And I was like,
Whoa.
and I watched it and I was like, this is like one of the funniest fucking things I've ever seen. This is
It is so
so good.
funny. And it's like I remember I watched it. I remember at the time it was almost like people were like, "This sucks." Like that was like I mean, I don't know if that's what the whole react, but the vibe
Sure.
was, "This is stupid." And then it slowly people were just like, "Wait, this movie's like the best ever." And I remember watching it with my whole family, like uncles, cousins, like we all watched it and they were like, "This is so stupid." But by the end of the movie, they were like, "This is the best movie ever." Like, and it just like that, I think, it inspired me so much because I'm like, oh, it won over the crowd, for
Yeah.
being. It's also so heartfelt, and I'm glad you watched it. Thank you for watching it. It's a great movie.
Well, and it's one of those ones like I could say we can talk for as long as you'd like about this. I have probably about 20 minutes of comments about this movie, but um,
Yeah,
it was one of those things like when I was a kid, we had it on DVD, right? And
yeah,
we had like 10 movies on DVD, so I just watched it over and over, you know?
hmm
But like I didn't real I pick up on so many more of these things now, like the fact that it's just a bunch of these like kids making a movie for probably like no money, and the
yeah,
fact that it looks so good and is
yes.
like so sincere and so well written is like ludicrous. I mean, it's
Yeah.
ridiculous. Like, I mean,
Yeah, people don't give it enough credit for they're like, "It's so funny," but it's also shot really well. Like, if you like Wes Anderson or something like that, it's like these shots are, I would say, like, on par with, Bottle Rocket, like his first movie or something, like, I'm glad you brought that up. It's such a good movie, and also, like you said, I could also talk I love the behind the
please
scenes
go ahead.
too. Like, Jared Hess as a director, like, did the thing, and I went to film school. They tell you, don't ever, like, do a line reading for your actors. Don't ever say, like, "Say it like this, and then blah, blah, blah." They're like, "Don't do that. Just try to get that out of the actor." But if you watch the behind the scenes, Jared Hess is literally doing every character for the actors, and they're kinda doing and they've said it too in interviews, they're doing, like, an imitation of him, and I think that's why the movie's so good. It's, like, so he knew exactly, like, what it was supposed to be, and they, like, helped him make that come to life, and, yeah, I think we need a little more of that because obviously you see a lot of movies now, and it's, like, you can tell, like, they're paying too much attention to, like, algorithms and what people think and blah. It's like, "No, you should just make your weird, very specific idea, like, just make it because no one else has that," you know? But yeah, I love that movie.
I mean, absolutely, right? And it's like, oh gosh, I'm trying to think where I want to go with that. I think like there's like I didn't know what you just mentioned about the imitation of
Yeah.
the director, but that actually makes a ton of sense because when I watched that movie,
Mhm.
I was like out of my gourd stoned, which is okay. So it's like it's let me tell you about the experience watching that, right? So
Yeah.
I've probably seen that movie maybe 25 times, something like that, because I
Yeah.
watched it constantly as a kid, and now I'm
Yeah.
watching it as an adult, like, ugh. So then like all these things are coming at me, and it's like it is like a sensorially, whatever the word is, and it is a very overwhelming film in like every
Yeah.
single way, you know? Like there is like here's the thing. And it is like I would say a true this is I'm not saying this because I'm talking to you. I think this is
Yeah.
it's truly like a masterpiece. And
Yeah.
one of the reasons I say that is like pick any part of that movie and then look at it really closely as you
Mhm.
watch it. Like for example, the setting of the film. And something so you grew up in New Jersey, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. I grew up in rural like Spokane, right? So I
Mhm,
lived on
mhm.
like a 10-acre lot and it was, so
Right.
like I when I talked to people it was on Facebook or at school and and like that was
Yeah.
it. So I didn't realize until watching it now that like what they were depicting was unusual, you know?
Right. Right.
Like when
Yeah.
he's going out and like throwing food at the llama, I didn't realize like that was they thought that was weird, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
like as I was watching, I was like, oh yeah, okay. Or like when they're cracking eggs into the orange juice, I'm like, oh sure, like that like just seems like a thing one of my neighbors would have done, you know?
Did you ever do like the farming? What is it called? 4-H or something? Did you ever do that?
Oh, is
Because
that
he
like
does that at the one part where he's like tasting. He's like, I think this tastes like the cow got into an onion patch. But I know like I have had friends that like live in rural areas of like Pennsylvania and stuff, and like they were like, oh, I did that as a kid. You know,
good
did you
old
do any
Kentucky?
farm stuff like
Um,
that?
well, so I did work on farms growing up a little bit, not
Mm.
like a ton, but um so no, I never did that like aspect of it, but I did know a lot of farmers' kids and like I knew a lot of
Yeah.
farmers and all of my neighbors were farmers, that kind of thing, right? And it's like I think an element of that movie that I so deeply love is the fact that like and I think people are born with there's a bell curve to it, but pretty much the
Mhm.
same brains wherever you are, right?
Mhm,
So I
mhm.
think people want to be creative. They want to connect with other people. Whatever the things are, you're going to have that if you're born in rural America or in Shanghai. What doesn't matter. And
Right,
like,
yeah.
I think the thing that movie depicted so well, and it connected with me so much because I grew up in this kind of area, is the fact that like these are really, really, really creative people, but the only
Mhm,
thing they have
mhm.
in front of them is like milk. So he makes that like
Yeah.
he drinks the milk like it's the Godfather. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Uh, and I just love that. It was such a so no, I
yeah.
never did that specifically, but I did. I totally latched onto that element of it this time. I thought, yeah,
Aw,
I thought it was awesome.
that's cool. I mean, yeah, I like I said, when I was in the Midwest, I was really like, okay, what feels the most like I feel like I didn't get to go to anywhere that was really more like Napoleon Dynamite-esque. But you'd be surprised, there are some areas here in New Jersey that are flat farmland that I didn't like grow up really around, but I have family there. And it kinda was just like, oh man, this looks like Napoleon Dynamite, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh, shout out Napoleon Dynamite. Shout out the Minecraft movie. Did you see the Minecraft movie?
Here's the thing. I tried watching the Minecraft movie, and because here's the thing, I didn't get around to it. I wanted to watch like all of the movies that I knew you like loved because I just looked at your letterbox, right?
Yeah.
Um, I didn't, I didn't do that. I didn't do all of them. So, because
That's okay.
what am I looking for? I started the Minecraft movie and I got like 30 minutes in, and I was just like, you know what? It's not for me. So
That's totally fine.
and it well but it taught me a lot about interviewing people, right? Is that kind of thing of like I'm not going to be able to connect with Mitch on Minecraft movie. It's just not going to happen because
Yeah,
it's not my thing. But
yeah,
I think we can have something with like Napoleon Dynamite or
totally,
whatever other movies. I'm like I'm just going to
totally.
focus on that and get my questions on that. But
What if I,
uh
like, I was like, "What the fuck?" And I, like, hung up. "What the fuck?" And then I have,
you
like, a
know
publicist with me, and I'm like, "What the fuck is this? I sent 5 copies of the Minecraft movie." No, I'm kidding.
you
No,
know
honestly, it is so that is even harder to get people like, we saw it like, me and Orna, we saw it with our friend, and she was like, "I wish I was under the influence of something." Like, she was like, "What is this?"
the tricky thing with that is I
Uh
was under the influence, and even then I was like, it's not, it's not my vibe. I don't know, but
That's great. That's
uh,
great.
okay, circling around to kind of some different elements of the Mitchosphere here. Is
Yes.
Hometown Local Superstar a sequel to the Fragile Art,
To the fragile art. Well, forgive me. I don't know. Wait, what's the fragile art?
your 2019 documentary?
Oh! You're nardwarding me here. I'm like, get out of my head. Um, wow, interesting. Interesting. Um, so you're talking about I made a short documentary about my friend Hallie Ballard, who makes so I think I mentioned in Orino's interview actually. I'm like always shouting her out. She makes like paper mache art, and that is so true. You know, I think not to bring it back to Napoleon Dynamite, but yeah, I
Go ahead.
think the song Hometown Local Superstar. Now that you've said that, I've never thought about it like this, but yeah, maybe there's a lot of that and just stuff I love, and just like something about people from their hometown and who wanna, like you said, or who are creative. Like everybody, there's creative people everywhere. And my town's not really a small town. It's a weird town. It's a weird. I don't know how to explain it, but it does kind of feel like a small town sometimes. And yeah, I don't know. That's a good. I'm gonna have to think about that. But yeah, Hallie's definitely a super superstar. Like she's gonna be like, I think you'll see like Adidas or Vans collab like with her like stuff. Like she's totally on that path, and I'm gonna be like, I know her. You know what
Hot
I mean?
shit, just hella underrated. Uh,
Yeah, exactly.
okay, I got a quote for you here, and if you know it,
Yeah.
feel free to jump in.
Yes.
Okay. Everybody's born with a glow. For some people, it dies off really quick, but other people, they get to keep it into adulthood, and those people are really lucky.
That is from Foglow, my junior film in college, starring Halle Ballard. She also
Starring
acts.
Halle Ballard.
Yeah, she acts. That was a good impression.
Thank you.
Yes, that's and also that is on. I'm really proud. It's on a like a bootleg website. I don't know how, but I don't know if it's actually on there. But sometimes when you Google it, it'll be like free film Mitch Marsico, like Foglow, like HD.mp4, and I'm like, what? How did this get here? I don't. So
Well, the
yeah.
reason I the reason I wrote that one down, how much of your life right now, your
Mm,
YouTube,
mhm,
music, whatever it is, how much of
mm,
that is your attempt to keep the glow?
mm. Yeah, no, I think definitely. I think like you said, everybody's creative and I think you have like a little fire that you gotta poke at, and I think a I don't know if it was super intentional for me to be like, oh, I want to keep my glow alive and stuff like that. I think honestly it wasn't. It was more like being bored and like just being home and like home a lot. I was like, okay, let me start making stuff. But 100%, like, I posted for the first time in, like, 3 weeks on YouTube, and I was like, "Oh my god, I gotta do this, like, every week because it does feel, um especially when you figure out something that you like to make and you enjoy the process and you enjoy, how people react to it, it's, like, so, like, validating slash just fun, And I think, yeah, I think that's a good question. I think, yeah, that probably is low key, like recently. And then I'm like, now I'm gonna do a live show. Now I'm gonna do that. I'm like trying to do more stuff. I think because it feels good. It's like that glow or whatever. But yeah,
Well, this is uh this is the thing I do. You know what's funny is like I wonder sometimes if people, will watch my interviews and like think I'm trying to segue into like specific topics or anything. I'm really not. It's just that like this is how I would talk if I had like
yeah,
the ability to. This is just how I would talk in my normal life. Uh,
yeah,
but okay, this is a setup for a question. This isn't the question, but are you a
yeah.
Nine Inch Nails fan at all? And if you're
Um,
not, it doesn't matter. The question's still gonna
I
work.
think the only song I know, they do "Hurt," right? I hurt
Yeah, yeah,
myself
yeah,
today.
big time.
I only kinda just know the Johnny Cash version of that, but
Great
no,
version.
I know you're a big fan, I know, so you were wearing the T-shirt last time. Yeah.
Big time. Well, and it's, a little show and tell here. My entire mantelpiece, I need to learn the mic better. Like you have that fancy ass little like your mic looks sick. I want to get one of those boom stands so because I have ADHD. I'm always doing that.
Yes, I
I need
want
to
one of those too, those are
and
cool.
and I like maybe I'll get like a rubber band around it so like wherever I go it's just following me.
You
But
should have one from the ceiling like in wrestling, and you just like you know what I mean? Just
dude, I
comes down.
love that. My entire mantelpiece is literally just Nine Inch Nails stuff because like
Yes.
on the oh gosh, I should point it out. This isn't gonna work for YouTube video, but fuck it. This is called Cargo in the Blood. This is an art book that was made by Russell Mills, who also did the
Mm.
cover art for the Downward Spiral. Um, and
Oh.
then this, and I can grab it in these if you want. It doesn't matter though. But the one in the middle is a poster that Aaron North gave me, who, as I mentioned last time, he used to play guitar in Nine Inch Nails. But
Right.
absolute fucking baller. I love that dude. Absolute
That's
icon.
so cool.
Yeah, and it's like, well, I'm gonna get. You know what? This is one of my favorite things about interviews. Like, I'll just stack up. This was the question I
Yeah.
started at, but now it's story time, story time, story
You're
time.
like, I gotta talk
New
about Nine
question.
Inch Nails.
Yeah, so we'll get back to my initial
Well,
thing.
I have a
Doesn't
I
matter.
have one question. Do you
Please.
know, aren't they doing Tron, right? Aren't they,
Fuck yeah,
right? Yeah. I'm very excited for that.
dude. Right here. This is my
Yeah.
3D Blu-ray of Tron Legacy. I've seen this movie probably 45 times, something like that.
Wow, I love that movie. I love Tron. Like I love the original. I love the second or yeah.
Legacy, yeah.
I'm a little like um I hope this new one's good. I really hope it's good. I think it looks good and I'm very excited. I used to have when Tron Legacy came out, they had shirts at Hot Topic where they glowed in the dark. Did you have one of those?
I think I did.
Yeah. I wore it like every day. And my friend, one of my like close friends in high school, he had the hoodie. And then my other friend, close friend from high school, had Osiris's like Tron Osiris. I don't know if you remember the really chunky sneaker. He had so we all had this like Tron merch and we all like became friends because of our Tron merch, basically. And yeah, I love that you love the Tron movies. I'm excited. How
Dude,
excited were you when you found out that Nine Inch Nails was doing?
here's here's how I knew I was on the right track in life. I had 3 people text me that news. It's
They're
like
like, it's your two crossover, like
literally, because there's some things I just talk about so fucking much that if anyone sees anything about it, they'll text me. Like any news on
Aw.
Beavis and Butthead, I immediately get a text. Like anything with Tron, like Nine Inch
Yeah.
Nails, I don't know, White Stripes, any of these things that I'm constantly talking about, it like my mom, my sister, my coworkers, anything,
Aw.
they'll just yeah, it honestly just makes me laugh that like people so
Aw.
heavily associate me with these things. It's
That's beautiful.
what
That's
a yeah,
awesome.
what a little treat that is. But um I guess so my
Yes.
the thing that started me off on this was I think it's like something you said. There's a Nine Inch Nails album called The Fragile from
Mhm.
1999. It's a double album, and that was like um, I'll do a little brief Nine Inch Nails history here. Basically, it started off like Trent was. Um, how much of this do I want to tell? I'm trying to think in my head like what's relevant. The Chekhov's gun, whatever. But his first album was called Pretty Hate Machine, and
Mhm.
that was one of those things. I'll talk about this. This feeds into a later question, but like that was one of those things of like he doesn't really know how to make an album. He doesn't at when he
Mm.
makes Pretty Hate Machine, he does not know how to make an Nine Inch Nails album. He's basically
Mm.
making like it sounds like an 80s like synth pop record that's a little bit darker. It doesn't really sound like what Nine Inch Nails becomes. And then the Downward Spiral is just that it's like just as a person I can tell
Mhm.
you know who loves art. That's like I think the Downward Spiral is like the Bible.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
know, I truly think it's just like an absolute masterwork. But he makes that, and then 5 years go by. 94 is the Downward Spiral. 99 is the Fragile, because he's going through like addiction and all this stuff of like his skyrocketing to fame, and he's like a super introverted guy from
Mhm.
rural Pennsylvania, funnily enough.
Mm.
And he doesn't know how to deal with it, so he's drinking, doing drugs, and everything. And then the Fragile is, I think, kind of his way of making this monster project that he just dedicates himself to, like completely for 2 years, and you get
Mm.
like almost 2 hours of music out of it. So I guess there's not a question here, but I think the thing that made me think of it was just like I don't know that idea of like art being vital to yourself and your
Mhm.
life and your own whatever it is. I think is shared by a lot of the messiahs of art. So you're in
Yeah.
good company.
Yeah. I have to listen to all of that. I mean, it sounds so inspiring, and I'm just like I just have not listened to a lot of anything,
Same,
and
dude. Same.
but I love like how you're talking about it. I'm just like I need to. And honestly, once I saw the Tron like announcement or the trailer, I was like, I should listen to like some Nine Inch Nails. Like I want to like get prepped.
Dude, I oh
Yeah.
my god, I can't even tell you. Um, But well, and it's you mentioned something, I don't have this written down, but it's something I think about a lot. Like there's so
Hmm.
much stuff in the world, art, music, what pick
Hmm.
pick a thing, there's a lot of it. And I think
True.
like with art especially, me as someone who loves art and likes creating all these things, I feel like it's really hard to parse out what the really good stuff is,
Yeah.
you know? And I think just like having someone who really loves something and can explain
Mm-hmm.
what it is about it that they really love, that gets me like, I'm locked the fuck in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, Again, no question there, I suppose, but
That's
it's a thing I thought of.
facts
Uh, so
for
I
real.
guess circling back a little bit to kind of the documentary end of things, are you familiar at all with the Safdie brothers?
Yeah. Yes.
Did they
Yeah.
did they have an influence on your documentary filmmaking at all? I feel like I sense a similar style there.
I've honestly only seen they made like oh my god,
I
the
can name
Adam
a couple of
Sandler.
them. Yeah,
Yeah,
Uncut
yeah.
Gems. I
I
got
haven't
Uncut Gems
seen it.
poster right there. You know what?
Ah,
Fuck it.
I need to see it. I need to
Here.
see it.
You can barely see it.
Oh, I love that poster. And
There you
Knives
go.
Out. Love Knives Out.
And then I got John Wick 3 right there as well, but I can't turn my computer that far.
The
Anyways,
Trinity.
yeah.
I I you know what? I've only seen I'm trying to remember. This is terrible. I need to see their movies. I've only seen The Curse, which has one Safdie in it. The
Yeah,
Nathan
Benny, yeah.
Fielder show.
Yeah.
But no, but funny enough, I think have you ever seen the Catfish movie like that spun off into the
No.
TV show?
No.
Catfish the movie I think was directed by like Neve's like brother. Like Neve, like the host of
I
Catfish.
don't think I do, honestly. This is a complete blind
Oh,
spot for me.
I love okay, you know what I'm talking about? Catfish the show is like one of the best shows of all time. It's so entertaining and it's just so good. It's amazing. Because it'll touch on like being trashy reality TV, but then it'll also like just be like really deep and emotional. And Neve is just so Catfish the movie, which I think most people haven't seen, is Neve, the guy who's famous for being the host of Catfish. He's the victim of the movie. He's not
Huh.
so the movie was his brother, I think, who was like sus being like, I don't think the person you're talking to is real. So his brother starts making a documentary. And I bring them up because I think they were friends with like the Safdies and like Casey Neistat, like these like New York City like filmmakers. And it's like early 2000s. And but I love that documentary, and that definitely is an influence on me. So I haven't seen honestly like any Safdie brothers stuff, but I think I'm definitely inspired probably by that crew, like that world of those New York guys, or like John Wilson. Have you seen him on
No, no.
How to with John Wilson's a show on HBO? And he honestly, again, I didn't really see him until later, but I could tell a lot of these guys. Cinema verite, you know, not to ooh. No, but you know what I mean, like fly on the wall,
Boo!
observational. Yeah. Boo! Like
I know what you mean.
documentaries,
I know what you mean.
yeah. I think mostly, honestly, I was inspired by like, yeah, like Catfish, the documentary, and then like the Lord of the Rings behind the scenes documentaries. When you watch the DVDs, there's like the typical behind the scenes that are like on DVDs that are awesome, but then each movie has this like hour and a half documentary, and it's like no, I don't, not really narration, no talking head. It's just kind of this fluid like scene to scene. Any narration is like just someone talking on set. Like it's the most raw, like real way you can make a documentary. And to me, those are like the most fun to make. So I would say, yeah, Lord of the Rings behind the scenes and the Catfish movie. Those are probably my two biggest documentary influences. Yeah.
Well, I do, while we're on documentary, I do want to take
Yeah.
a little bit to talk about
Yeah.
in more detail the fragile. Do you pronounce it fragile or fragile?
I say fragile,
Okay, because
I
it was
think.
like I think in my head, and this is how
Fragile.
dumb I am. I was about to say fragile, and I was like, I don't want people to think I'm dumb if I say fragile, because it doesn't sound as like,
Fragile.
yeah, it doesn't have the
Yeah.
air of like, wafting
Yeah.
French perfume that fragile does. But um, I really, and again, it like what's the phrasing I'm looking for? Something I say often to my friends is like, I don't
Mhm.
care enough to lie. You know what I mean? So like any compliment I give you, anyone else, it's because I feel that way. Like
Well, that I
people's,
appreciate the honesty.
yeah, it's like, well, I do care a lot what people think of me, but like
Mm.
in terms of art and like my opinion on art, that's like, that is like religion to me. So I would
Yeah, yeah.
never for a second pretend to like something I didn't.
Yeah,
Anyways,
yeah.
the fragile art was such a wonderful little documentary, and something I like about it, and I don't really have this written down, it's just
Mhm.
something I thought about, but I think it's like 9 minutes, whatever it is, it's really
Yeah.
short, and you jump in and you get a really great picture of Hallie and Courtney, and
Mhm.
I think it does the thing that I think all great interviews, documentaries, nonfiction stuff should do. It like it makes it kind of expands your mind in terms of like I never thought
Mm.
about paper mache and why someone
Mm-mm.
would want to do that, or like the logistical difficulties of that, any of those things. So it opens you up to all these new possibilities, and then it also at the same time makes you feel like you're friends with these people. It's
Mm.
like,
Yeah.
and actually this is a little inside scoop. um, I I reached out to Hallie for this interview because I was trying to get insider info, but she didn't get back to me because she's busy
Oh,
doing her
yeah.
art thing. But because I didn't know about the bootleg site, I couldn't find the full video of Foglow, and it was driving me crazy. I
Oh,
found the little
yeah.
clip, and I got a question from that, but I was like, God
Yes,
damn it.
yeah,
But and that's that thing, right? Because and
yeah.
that's the reason I did that is because you're a little documentary. Like I saw that and I was like, oh fuck yeah, sure, I'm friends with Hallie. I can reach out to her. Uh, and maybe I was totally wrong, but at least made me feel that way, right? So
Yeah.
a great little documentary. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. I wanna make more, and hopefully I'll, make some more sometime, but
What?
yeah,
But
I
are
love
you
them.
still working on that? What happened with that Bad Ben documentary?
Yeah. I really do want to, so long story short, um, when I was working, my whole thing was like, I'm gonna make these documentaries, and I started that YouTube channel, Noise Life Magazine, and I'm like, I'm gonna make these profiles of people that I love, and like kind of focus, like you were saying, like art, just like art in different forms. And I was filming one, um, with, this guy named Chronic and Catfish, who smokes weed and catches catfish in the Schuylkill River in Philly. It was and I have this footage, but it's not an I mean, I might use it somehow, but that's when I kinda, like, start figuring out that I have POTS, which is, like, this, like, chronic illness I have, because
Yeah,
I was, like, so tired, and, the can because 'cause I'm by myself, I have my mic on my camera, like, it's like a one-man crew. I have
yeah,
the
yeah,
light
yeah,
on the camera, so I'm kinda like Freddie from iCarly. It's like everything's on one camera. It's, like, kinda heavy, and it's not that heavy, but like for me now, I have this like chronic fatigue and stuff, and standing for long periods of time is like not good for me right now. So I was working on that documentary about Bad Ben, who is Nigel Bach. He's a guy in my hometown who makes like B movie horror movies, and he's made like freaking like 20 of them in like the span of like almost 8 years. Like he makes so many, and he has this cult following, and I've like acted in them and stuff, and I shot a lot of stuff that I used to make this like pitch video, but I didn't think there was like a story there really yet. And so yeah, so long story short, I want to make it. We talk about it, and possibly this fall I'm going to film him. But yeah, it's different now. So that's kind of why I started making the YouTube videos and my new setup, because it's, yeah, if I stand for a really long time, especially like holding something kind of heavy, yeah, I get, like, dizzy and stuff, which is not good for documentary filmmaking. Because documentary filmmaking is like, we're gonna film for 5 hours, you know, and then in there, we're gonna pull out a little stuff, but, so, yeah, so hopefully as I kinda get my, my pots a little more managed. And then I'm kind of just hoping, I'm like, by then I bet there'll be an even more interesting story with, you know, the Bad Ben saga. So, because the whole point of the documentary, he was going to retire and it was going to be his last movie, which he totally he was like, nah, I'm going to do like 10 more. So I was like, okay, that gives me some time to work out, get ready, so that's kind of the situation right now. Yeah.
So I have so many things to comment on everything you just said, and
Yeah.
they're all going to be very long rambles, so hopefully I'll get to some of them.
Go. Yeah.
Um, I think I'll start on the more intellectual one first. I have a more personal one,
Mhm.
but I'll start with the
Mhm.
intellectual one. Get you all buttered up. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you talk about, working on the Bad Ben documentary and like not knowing where the story is or everything. Something that I find, take it or leave it. This is how I view it. Um,
Mhm.
there is an anime. I just finished it last night, funnily enough, called Hajime no Ippo, and it's a
Mm.
boxing anime. It's one of the most brilliant things I've ever seen in my entire life. But there, and this will get around to a point. Like boxing anime, obviously a lot of it is going to be about the fights and everything. But like the thing that the
Yeah.
show does so masterfully, and what makes it like a true masterpiece of writing, is that when there's a training episode, they're doing something new and giving you new things about these characters, new situation every single time. It's like
Mhm.
there's never an episode where it's just Ippo just doing that. Like for example, one of the early ones, Ippo is trying to learn how to fight another boxer in his gym, Miata, and he's trying to
Mm.
shadow box. And I guess I'll just he's you're not
Yeah.
gonna be able to hear me, but he's doing like like
Yeah.
he's getting all confused when he's doing it because he
Mm.
doesn't figure it out. And then someone explains to him, and this totally opened my mind. It's like what you're trying to do with shadow boxing, you're trying to capture your opponent's shadow. And that to me was like,
Mm.
oh my God. Because in what occurred to
Mm.
me is that that's what I'm trying to do with the interviews, right? It's like
Mm.
when I'll tell you, like, even for this one, there was a solid like day or two where I was like, fuck, I have no idea what I'm gonna ask Mitch, you know? Because it's like because the thing that would drive me crazy and the how I know I'm ready for an interview is like whether this is true or not, I at least believe that I can watch like one of your videos and know
Mhm.
like moment to moment what you're thinking. I at least think I can. Whether or not that's
Yeah.
true, up for debate. But like I find that that element of it, of like so deeply understanding the person across from you, that to
Yeah.
me is like that's the X factor. You gotta have that if you wanna. So
Mm.
I feel what you're saying. Feel free to stew that around. There's no question there. But
Would
um,
you ever make documentaries? Are you interested in documentary filmmaking at all? Like, or like someone filming you, like interviewing a subject in a documentary like format, or
so um, this is a tricky thing. Is a lot of times the answers I have for
yeah.
questions make me look very bad. But that being said, I decided a while ago that like you gotta just full send it in these things. So
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
I'm gonna give the real answer whether and it's gonna make me look like an egotistical asshole. I would
No, don't.
love to have like a documentary made about me or something for the
Yeah.
reason of like what's the phrasing I'm looking for? When people watch like when people watch this interview or later one, they're probably going to have one of two thoughts like, "Oh, that was cool," or "Oh, that was fun," whatever it is. And like that's fine, that's great. That's awesome. If people enjoy it, that's awesome. But like to me, it is not about like fun or any of these things. It is like to me
Yeah.
it's like the most serious thing in the world, right? Like every
Yeah.
single interview I do, it like has the emotional intensity to me of like an anime fight, like without exaggeration
Yeah.
in any way, shape, or form. Like when
Yeah.
I'm doing these things, I feel like I'm like in the ring and whatever comes at me, I gotta be ready,
Yeah.
and I gotta do it. Um, and like the other thing about it is like I'm such an anxious person that in my
Yeah.
day-to-day life,
Same.
moment to moment, I have no fucking clue what's happening. And like I'm like, oh God, did I say something wrong? Is that person?
Yeah.
And there's too much coming in, and I can't
Yeah.
process it. So it's just noise. But when I go back and I edit these things, this is with I'm not exaggerating in any way. When I go back and watch these things, that is like the only time in my life that I ever understand like accurately how someone was feeling about what I was saying or something like that. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So like I think I it's not even about I mean, if someone made like a documentary about me and their thesis is like you're an egotistical asshole, whatever, that's fine. I don't care. Like if they believe that's true, that's fine. Like if that's sincerely their belief, awesome. But like I think there is a lot of value and I find a lot of interest in
Yeah.
looking at the self from an objective perspective because I'm not able to do that on my own. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
my art, for example, is all very like funhouse mirror. There's this little piece of me, but it's blown
Mhm.
up 40,000 times and distorted, whatever it is.
Mhm.
Um, this is a very, very different kind of thing. But so I would definitely love to do that at some point. But also, like, yeah, I mean, I would love to do like, I don't know if it would. I think documentaries are a tricky one because the way you do it, I
Mhm.
really like, where you're just, you're just the one man show. You go out there
Yeah.
and it's just you. Like, I love that because to me, it's like I think I've gotten better at it. I don't. When I was starting out doing some of this stuff, I didn't like collaborating with people very much because
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm very it needs to be. I'm very
Yeah.
perfectionist. You know what I mean? So like if someone doesn't share that vision or they stray from it, that drives me crazy. So it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. It's
where am I
hard to
going?
find someone that gets. I don't think that yeah, because I'm the same way, and that is why I'm by myself. I mean, sometimes like Courtney, who was in the Halle documentary, she would be there for the Bad Ben stuff. But yeah, I totally relate to that, and I don't think it means you're like difficult or hard to work with. It's just like you have spent all this time and work to figure out your thing, and it's hard to get someone else to be on the same exact page and do it with you, you know? So I don't blame you for, like, saying that or feeling like that 'cause I relate to that, yeah.
Yeah, but it's it's an odd thing, right? And it's like so I've thought about. I mean, I tried doing what's the phrasing I'm looking for? I tried doing this in writing, for example,
Mhm,
like um I don't think you were there for the part of that part of the interview with Orno, but like that's why I
mhm,
reached out to Aaron North, for example, right? Was
mhm,
like
mhm.
he was someone he played with Nails for a few years and then he had other bands. Actually, he had an awesome band. I can send you their stuff if you want, but an
Yeah,
awesome fucking indie rock band called Jubilee that like it's one of those things. This is okay, I'm stacking a story on top of the story I was telling.
yeah.
Um, there is so much stuff I see out there. It's the same way that you talk about like
Mm,
Hallie, for example.
mhm,
And I can tell like how much, how deeply you believe in her and her art. I feel the same way about
mm,
like Aaron, for example. When he was doing
mm,
Jubilee, his like indie rock project after Nine Inch Nails, that stuff is exceptional. It's
mhm,
it's really great material. And it's that thing of like he just he had no one backing him and because Aaron's like psychology is what it is, he was the kind of person that wanted to make it as hard for himself as he possibly could. So he was
mhm.
setting up performances like he literally like because he was coming out from Nine Inch Nails, he could have been opening for like huge bands. But he
Yeah,
refused to do that and was just playing in venues with like no PA systems and no stages. Just because that's his fucking Aaron, right?
yeah,
But
yeah.
like there is so I don't know. I feel like there is so much. I think there is some amount of meritocracy in the art world. There's some amount of it. Like there's a reason that Nine Inch Nails is as successful as they are, and it's because they are some of the best musicians who have ever lived. But like
Mm,
there are also a lot of people who are at that same level who just they don't meet the right person. Maybe
yeah,
they're awkward. They don't know how to network, and that's the only reason they don't make it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I don't remember what my initial thing was, so I'll circle back to another thing. When you talk about like, pots and everything, and I can tell
Mhm,
and what's the phrasing I'm looking for? I I feel like you're doing a thing I see a lot of artists do where you're
Mhm.
saying, "Oh, well, I want to do this, but I have this, so I have to do this instead." But
Mhm.
I feel like you're looking at that as a roadblock, which I think is the wrong way to do it.
Mhm.
What when you look at really great work, really
Yeah.
fantastic stuff, doesn't matter, pick anything, books, movies, documentaries, music, doesn't matter, anything. When you find something really exceptional, what it is someone really looked inside themselves and said, okay, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, I
Yeah.
can kind of do this, and this thing I'm not as good at. So they just take this stuff over here and they
Yeah.
fucking make it work. Like I don't even actually know if this is true or not, but one of my favorite bands is Jesus and Mary Chain. Their first album, and I'm rambling on, I apologize, but their first album
No, don't.
supposedly was like recorded with a broken fuzz pedal. And I think about that a lot
Yeah,
because
yeah.
and it kind of sounds like it honestly, but if you can if you can make something shitty work, if you can make
Yeah, yeah.
something broken work, then you're one of the greats, you know what I mean? So it's like
Oh, yeah.
so you got a situation where yeah, you're not able to do things in the way you used to. You know, you
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
go out lifting heavy stuff, but you're still Mitch. You know what I mean? You still
Yeah.
and I can tell just watching you because I got the same thing. I can tell you have a curiosity about people and about art and a love for art and all these
Yes.
things. So it's like you just gotta, you just gotta take, okay, I can't do that, but I can do this. So just take that
Yeah,
thing and then fucking
totally.
just do it, you know?
Exact and I appreciate that because there was a time where I was not like that at all. I was just like mourning, and I was in therapy at the time, which was great because she was like, my therapist was like, "You're mourning this life," you know, which kind of sounds like extreme, but it's like, no, it's like my life isn't like how it used to be. But like you said, like I am very also excited about you know, like you said, you're still the same person and now you're just doing something different. But it's like at the same time, I don't think I ever would have made any of the type of stuff, even music. I am grateful in a weird way for the pots situation happening because it made me want to really like lock in and record music and make music because it was like something I was just like, I'm sitting a lot, you know, which is, you know, or I don't know, like I
No,
can
I'm
sit down
following
and
you. Yeah.
record a song. Exactly. So I totally get what you're saying. And it means a lot. Cause yeah, I think this is the first year where I'm kind of like accepting that and getting hype about it and being more, you know, I don't know what the word is, not positive, like just like, yeah, like that's awesome, you know. And so I appreciate that. Yeah. Thank
Well,
you.
and I have two nerd references here, and we'll see if I
Yes.
can finish the story uh with both of them or if I just do one. There is an old Are you a comic book guy at all?
A little bit. Yeah. A little bit.
Well, that's another that I here's the thing. I'm gonna challenge you to
Yeah.
change your perspective. Like when I asked you about Safdie Brothers and you're like, oh no, I haven't seen their thing. What I think the way you
Yes.
should think about it is like, oh shit, I got all this sick stuff to watch, And that's how I'm
Exactly,
thinking about
exactly.
it, right? That's like I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh shit, Mitch hasn't seen that
Yeah.
yet. I'm not like, oh, Mitch hasn't seen that yet. I'm
Yeah.
stoked about it. So there's this I think it's an old Daredevil comic where
Mhm,
Matt Murdock is talking about Tony Stark, Iron Man, and he's saying something
mhm.
about like Tony's superpower isn't that he's rich, it's that he's a genius. If you put him in the desert, he would make a spaceship out of sand and
Yeah,
cactus
yeah.
needles. And that's what I was talking about earlier. That
Mm,
is what I think
mhm,
a truly exceptional artist is. Like it doesn't matter, and that's part of why I don't know if you had a chance to go through Memory Fluid, my new zine, but there's the section of it where I'm talking about like the rules or the guidelines I had when I was making it.
mhm,
And
mhm.
two of those things, I don't remember them offhand. I think it was technique is meaningless, the tools at your disposal are immaterial. And like I
Mhm.
cannot express how deeply I believe that.
Yeah.
Like I think people sometimes see that thing and they're like, oh, okay, move on. But it's like that's not I'm not just saying that. That
Mhm.
is like the foundation of my consciousness, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um and there's not more to it than that, I guess. Okay. This is unrelated. This
Yeah.
is I already made the point, but now I just want to talk about the anime. Uh there's and now you can tell like when I was talking to Orno, the amount of effort it takes for me in a conversation to not talk about anime, it's a lot of focus, right? Because this is just like
Yeah.
Anyways, but it's the same one I was talking about Blue Lock. Absolutely adore that show, the soccer anime. I don't know if you remember, but there's
Yes.
one thing they were talking about in it where it's like there's one challenge where in order to advance, I think they have to score like 100 goals in 90 minutes with soccer balls randomly shooting out from different parts of the arena.
Oh, wow.
And something that I thought about, and like Blue Lock, genuinely, this isn't me just saying it's a good show, it's entertaining. Like that has
Mhm.
changed the way I think about life and art.
Yeah, yeah.
Like genuinely. And that idea of like whatever comes at you, you just got to make it work. Doesn't fucking
Yeah.
matter, you know? And
Mhm.
I, I
Yeah.
see, I think you're in the early stages of that. And I can tell you're getting stuff thrown at you, but
Yeah, yeah.
you could just mope and be like, "Oh well, okay, that was cool," but now
Yeah.
now I'm gonna no, now I'm gonna go do
Yeah.
that thing. But no, you're not doing that. You're sticking with it. You're doing cool shit, which is awesome, and I love to see it. It's inspiring to me, and I think that's why
Oh,
you've gotten such a cool audience so quickly. It's because you're speaking with sincerity. You're speaking from the heart,
yeah.
and you're doing your fun little stupid bullshit, and it's great, and we love it.
Well, thank you. And hey, I'm the same way. If I watch a TV show and there's some like philosophy from it, that's like, yeah, like you said, it's like this is my religion, like the art, you know what I mean?
I
So
do,
I
yeah.
that's awesome. I appreciate that you're connecting that. Is that both references? Wait, was it?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. We got Daredevil and we got Blue Lock, baby. We nailed it.
Yeah.
Crushing it.
That's awesome.
Actually, oh, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna show you. Hold on a sec.
Yeah.
Um, I was telling you about that anime Hajime no Ippo, right?
Yeah. That's the boxing one.
Oh yeah. Check out what I got on eBay recently. Oh gosh, let's see if it shows up. I got.
Is that a cell?
Oh yeah,
Wow.
and I got two of them,
Are you kidding me?
dude.
That is so cool. I
Isn't that
That is
awesome?
cool. Is this how old's the show? Is it like
Uh, like 25 years it started. The last season was like
mm,
2014 or something, but it started like
wow.
25 years ago. And
That's I love cell animation cells so much.
it's not, and that's for my favorite
Yeah.
fucking fight in the show, dude. I
Wow.
love it because it's like, I guess I'm light
Yeah.
spoilers for Hajime no Ippo, but it's still you can't spoil that show because no matter if I told you
Right.
all the story, you'd still be locked the fuck in. It's that good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But there's this great fight with it's between Ippo and Sendo, and like they're both. It's the thing of like they're both like,
Mm,
fuck you, I'm going to win. I don't care if it kills me.
yeah.
And like that, I just love emotional intensity.
Yeah,
And that
yeah.
kind of thing, like there's a part where Ippo like like just smashes Sendo's like fucking skull and hits him in the temple, and Sendo just stares him down. You're like, oh fuck. and then sorry, I'm spoiling the fight, but then there's this great
That's
moment
okay.
in the ring where they're
Yeah.
they're trading blows, like just refusing to give up the center. And then the round ends, and Sendo goes to his corner, and then like they ring the bell to get him back in, and Sendo doesn't move. And you realize what's happened is like
Right.
Sendo has been unconscious this entire time since he got hit in the head, but he's
Oh
like
my god.
so locked in that even like while not being like alive, he was
Yeah.
doing this fight. I was like, oh shit, that's so metal, dude.
That's so epic. No, I love stuff like that. I wanna check it. How do you spell it? Because 'Cause I'm gonna
Uh, so it's oh god, I'm bad at. I'm gonna write it down and then read it out because
yeah.
I'm terrible at spelling words out loud. Um, Hajimeno I should have told you where the spaces are, but whatever, you'll figure it out.
I'll
Um,
find it.
it's I think alternatively called Fighting Spirit sometimes, but doesn't matter. I'll
Yeah.
send it to you. You'll be able to find it. Trust me.
This looks awesome.
If your goal in life is to find an anime I've recommended, I don't care. I'll help you do it.
And
It
I
doesn't matter what's in front of
love,
me.
like, boxing, like, I love Punch-Out! Do you ever have Punch-Out for the Wii?
No,
That
I can't remember if I did or not. I know what you're talking about though.
it was if you played Wii Sports Boxing, it's like
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
but, but there's, like, this obviously, like, this, like, anime aspect kinda to it, and it does feel it's more, like, goofy, like, they're, like the people you
yeah.
fight are really kinda but I would feel so I think I was, like, in 8th grade or something, I'd be like, like, I get so into it, and same thing with, like, Wii Sports Boxing because it's just, like, like you said, boxing's like the ultimate, like, I don't know, metaphor for life of just being like, I'm not gonna give up, like I just love stuff like that.
Well,
So
and that's like,
I will
I guess
check
I
that out.
I talked about this last night. It's the same tattoo I showed you last time, the one
Yeah, yeah.
from Blue Lock, right? And like again, sorry, I'm slightly spoiling Blue Lock, but again, the show still holds up. You'll still love it. There's a
Yeah.
great moment in episode I think 18 where this
Mhm.
character Barrow, he's like this whole time he's been like, I'm the king of this field. You're a fucking donkey. But then suddenly like the other guys, they've kind of climbed up, whereas Barrow's been like he always thinks he's the best, so he hasn't, he's been staying at that same level. So now he's getting outclassed, and he's like he can't score. He's like, and he's
Mm.
having like a mental breakdown on the field, and all these things. And there's like he's having this moment, this flash forward where he's imagining himself like sitting on the couch watching his teammates play in the World Cup while he's eating like ramen noodles, and then it like fades to black, and then like lightning comes out from his eyes. He's like, no, and he just like he literally steals the ball from his own teammate, and then like he just plows forward like a fucking maniac and scores. And I'm like, dude, that's so metal. That's sick as hell. And it's just that thing, right?
Yeah.
Of just like utter and complete determination.
Mhm.
I fucking love it, dude. It's so good. That show fucks. It's like amazing. They need to make season 3 now. Uh
Oh, yeah. That's my least favorite thing about anime when it's like I have to wait like 5 years for another season sometime,
dude,
Yeah.
it kills me. Okay, circling back to the actual interview instead of me just talking to anime for 20 minutes. So I've heard you mention that you wanted to, and I guess to be honest, I feel like I kind of know the answer to this, but
Mhm.
I think it's such an interesting question, and I want to challenge you on what I think your reasoning is, which maybe is a
Mhm.
bad way to set up before I even ask you the question. But why is it that you want to record your the material from leftovers or
Oh,
re-record? Did I say re-record?
oh, yeah, well, so I don't know if I wanna do every single song, but basically, I recorded my album Leftovers on my 4-track mainly because I was struggling so hard to, like, work on not even Logic, like GarageBand. Because at the time I had like a cracked Logic that every time I opened it, it would take like 10 minutes to open. And so already I'm just like, but I'm just not, I'm such a like, I get anxious. I get perfectionist and I'll spend so long and then I kind of get like ADHD. So then I'm like, I'm just going to play video games and I just don't finish anything, which I think a lot of people fall in that cycle. And I just didn't have the free will enough to I mean, you're only given so much free will a day, especially now that I have, like, a chronic illness. I, like, use it all up in, like, an hour, like, as soon as I get just to get out of bed. So to have the free will to, like, um, not be a perfectionist, to, like, make myself just lock in or whatever, I just couldn't do it. So and Orno had recommended me to listen to Jeffrey Lewis and Elliott Smith, which I had never listened to them before, and I was like, it had nothing to do with 4 tracks really, but I realized both those albums that she recommended were recorded on like 4 tracks. So that put the idea in my head. I was like, "Oh, maybe I should get a 4-track, and that'll, like, force me to not be perfectionist because you really can't." I mean, the perfectionism is more in the performance, like, practicing a million times and doing a million takes till you get one you're happy with. Um, so that made the process way more fun and quick. I was able to record it in, like, 10 days or something, and then it was done, and then I just, uploaded it. So now I think from going through that experience, I do have an 8-track. I did buy an 8-track. And the plan was to move up to an 8-track for the next album.
Next album 16.
Literally. I actually like emailed that to like this person who was asking about my music. I was like, I think album 3 I'm gonna do in a studio on a reel to reel 16 track.
Love
Which
it.
that could still be the plan, I don't know, but I think now, I mean, the whole point, kind of what you were saying, the whole Iron Man thing is like, I, I have this tool, I have a MacBook, I have this accessible tool. I think I've learned my lesson a little recording on the 4 track. So I do want to make a longer album, but I don't wanna over it's not gonna be overproduced, I don't think, like, it's gonna be probably the same exact vibe, but just slightly different, and I just have kinda different versions of, like, Hometown Local Superstar, like, I play it kinda differently that I wanna make a new version that maybe has drums and maybe has a bass and at the end of the day, I'll probably still have, like, 8 tracks maybe, like, I still wanna keep it pretty limited, and maybe even I don't know, I I don't know, but maybe I'll just record on the 8 track. We'll see. I don't know. The 8 track though, I bought it and it's kind of broken. So that also made me go, okay, maybe I'll just use my laptop. um, so long story short, I don't want to remake the whole album, but when I make my new album, there's some songs that I just have like other versions, more produced versions in my head, and I want to like give them another life. But usually when I say this, sometimes I'll say it and there'll be people in my chat will be like, "Don't delete the old ones." I'm not going to delete anything. But just another version, basically. That's a long answer.
No, 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 not at all. Well, you know what's funny is I was gonna argue with you on the logic of that, but as you described it, I was like, that actually makes a lot of sense. I had a whole
Well,
thing. I was like,
yeah.
but well,
Yeah, yeah. What would
I
your argument be though? I wanna hear it, I wanna hear it.
so when I and even okay, I'm taking my mind back 5 minutes ago is what I'm doing right now.
Yes,
Um,
yes, yeah.
so I don't want you to. I'm not trying to convince you to do this. What I'm saying is this is how I would approach it, and if you find
Yeah,
interest in this, if you find 100% interest in this, do it this way. If you find 10% interest in
yeah.
this, use 10% of this idea. What I would do, and this is to me a sign that I need to try making my own music instead of bitching at other people about how to do theirs, is
Yeah,
I think there is such when I look at an artist catalog, I'll use the
yeah,
White Stripes as an example. Their self-titled album, the first release, I'm what you're listening to is two geniuses who like don't really know how to make an album yet, you know?
yeah, yeah.
So you're seeing them do all these things that like the pacing is not really quite right and like all of these things that they figured out later on. And I feel
Mhm.
like when it's viewed as a discography, that is such a key piece of it right there. And I'll
Yeah,
show
yeah,
you something right now actually.
yeah.
Um right here, right off camera, there's a box of all my print zines that I have. My first zine here was called the camera's not very bright. I apologize. It's called Confession of a Nobody, and it's this
Oh.
little 20 page zine I made like 3 years ago,
Is that
and
your
it's all
profile pic
yeah
on
yeah yeah.
Goo Yeah, that's so cool.
Well, yeah, and that's like that was also kind of a little Easter egg of like it's like what you were saying with YouTube comments. I do the same thing with email. I kind of want all of
Mm.
my emails and things to be like like a part of the artwork. So I write some unhinged fucking emails, dude. But cuz I don't know. Cuz it's also like a lot of times I'm reaching out to management people, and what I have found is if you're talking to management, if you just
Yeah.
act like the most and I'm never mean to people. I'm never calling people names, never insulting anyone,
Right, right,
but
right.
I often will. I reached out to Jack White, for example, and I literally just said like this will be the best interview of his career, which is like, here's the thing. I know that's fucking crazy, but at the same time, if you're trying to get someone's attention who doesn't give a shit about you,
Yeah, yeah.
that and also if Jack White comes into an interview with me expecting the best in the world, I'm gonna get as
Right. You're
fucking
gonna give the best because 'cause you're like, you set
yeah.
the yeah, that's cool. No,
And
I
that's
love that.
that's part of why I try to hype people up a little bit before my interviews because I kind of want them to come with like a little bit of a chip on their shoulder sometimes.
Yeah,
Because then
yeah,
I'm like, I feed off that, and then I'm like, all right, let's fucking go, dude.
yeah,
Like, oh, you don't think I can do it? All right, check this out. But,
yeah.
anyways, I think like there is such a value in that, and I talked about this with Pretty Hate Machine. That first album
Mhm.
of like they don't really know how to do it yet, and honestly,
Yeah.
I this is not this in no there's no shade on this whatsoever.
No,
Leftovers
I
to
yeah.
me is an album of like I can tell Mitch doesn't really know how to make an album yet.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I hear
totally.
all like for example, all the like the microphone hiss is like throughout the old thing, like it would be in an old folk record, like a Pete Seeger record,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. It's like I'm like, oh, that's because like Mitch doesn't know how to use the microphone yet, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm not saying I do either. Let me be clear, but
Yeah,
the
yeah.
thing about that is like it means to me that like those pieces are
Yeah.
I don't like going back to my old material like for what's a good example here? I'll show you. Okay. This is one of the artworks from
Mm,
Confession of a Nobody. I like this one okay, but like nowadays never in a million years am I just having a white background. Never. And the reason I did it there or like this next one right here, that was
yeah,
from a picture in Edinburgh and that was just the background. That was just
yeah,
there and that's how I edited it. Like never in a million years would I do that now because I can't
yeah,
stand white space. When I see like when
yeah.
I hear when I hear blank space in an audio track, I lose my fucking mind. Because I'm exaggerating slightly. I'm exaggerating slightly,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
I love Nine Inch Nails. I love noise music. I love that filling
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
If they're like to my mind, if you have like 5% you can squeeze out of the right channel, you use it for
Yeah,
something. You
yeah.
do something weird. But like so when I see this now, I'm like, oh, why didn't I do that? Why didn't I do that? Because the thing was, I didn't fucking know how
Yeah.
to do it, you know?
Yeah,
And so
yes,
like
yeah.
this to me is I think what leftovers is to you of like I just needed
Right.
to make this and I didn't fucking know how.
Yeah,
I didn't all like when I put this in InDesign, I had to cut all of it because I didn't realize I was just editing the JPEGs and they're the wrong
yeah.
size. So like I
Right,
had to
yeah, yeah.
do that to all of them, right?
Yeah.
Um, so to me, there's such a romanticism of like these things existing as
Yeah.
like fucked up little artifacts of their point in time and their point
Yeah.
in your life. And then also the other aspect of that, and again, this gets back to me being like, I need to start doing live stuff or music or whatever instead of just
Yeah.
telling you how to do it. But like, I think then it opens up the opportunity for you to fuck with it in like a live setting of like, well, the album's
Totally.
like this, but wait. But then when someone shows up live, it's like, no, but it's this now. And it's the thing Nine
Different.
Inch
Yeah.
Nails does, right? Of like
Yeah.
constantly reinterpreting their songs. And, like when Aaron played with, I'm rambling on, but when Aaron played
Yeah.
with Nails, for example, on the song Closer, one of the, do you know that song, like, I Want to Fuck You Like an Animal, that one?
I'm
Cool
trying
song.
to
Uh,
yeah.
but like, that's one of the ones of like, 90% of guitar players, and this is part of what makes Aaron a fucking legend. 90% of
Yeah.
the guitar players, they get in there and they're like, "Oh man, Trent Reznor's track, I'm just gonna,
Yeah.
I don't want to fuck with it." But Aaron got in there, and he just fucking ripped, and he like
Yeah.
changed the entire fucking song. And that I just love that of like,
Yeah.
if you catch me this day, right now, it's gonna
Right,
be this
yes.
song,
You
you
get this
know?
special
Yeah,
version. Yeah.
and it's
No,
like,
I yeah.
no,
I
go ahead,
love
please.
that. No, I was just gonna say I love seeing someone live and then it's like different or whatever.
I
Yeah.
I, I absolutely adore it, and that's like I apologize, I'm dominating the interview, but like that's part what my new
No, no.
zine. I printed 60 of them, and on each one
Yeah.
I did 1 out of 60, 2 out of 6, whatever it is,
Yeah,
and then
yeah, yeah.
I signed all of them by where I wrote like the rules that I had for the zine. As that was basically my way of saying like
Yeah.
this is the absolute best I could have given you. Like there's
Yeah, yeah.
nothing more I could have given. And like that's I take it very seriously. But the other thing I did was on all of them I wrote a little thing on like 1 out of 60 and then I wrote like on one of them I wrote like free Luigi. On one of them I wrote Have you seen Death Note?
Yeah.
I wrote like the names of different like awful,
Like
racist, horrible
CEOs.
political leaders and things. Yeah,
Yeah,
and just
yeah.
wrote their names and it said Sacagawea. And that was actually that used to be the
That's cool.
acknowledgments page of Memory Fluid. It just said
Mm.
Sacagawea at the top, and it said the author would like the following parties to burn for eternity, and just
Yeah.
listed a bunch of political leaders.
Yeah.
I ended up changing that, but that's where it started off on. But
That's
so
awesome. I love that.
anyways, so that's not at all an attempt to convince you of anything, but that is how
Yeah.
putting myself in your shoes, that's how I would
Yeah.
envision it.
Well, I think that's the thing too that I get exactly what you're saying. I think and I never meant to come off as like So, like, when you listen to albums, like I mentioned, like Elliott Smith, Jeffrey Lewis,
Yeah.
right? It's like a lot of them did record on tape because at the time, that's, like, the most accessible thing to do at home.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And nowadays, that's, like, it's actually, like, less accessible because you have to, like, buy one on eBay, and, like,
Yeah.
kinda go
Lock
out
it
of your
in. Yeah.
way. I mean, maybe you can find like, there's this old, interview with Mac DeMarco, and he was like, "Dude, just go to a thrift store, get a
Mac
tape, get."
DeMarco, nice.
Yeah, 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 he's like, "Get some synths," and I love him so much, but I was like, "Man, this, like, didn't age well," because it's like synths and stuff like that is so expensive now,
Like
but when
he was, Mac was talking about it
yeah,
like, "Oh, go get some synths, start
yeah.
off." But then you hear it and you're like,
No, that's like because at the time, that was true for him, like, he
"Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's
yeah,
why he became, like, the artist he is, but for me, I was, like, my earlier like, in college was kinda when I started, like, messing with music, and it was all garage band, all I had a MacBook that I got from college, and which came with a free pair of Beats. Sometimes when you go to college they'll give you, and the Beats literally broke on my head. Had them on my head and I was like, is my head that big? They just like snapped. Anyways,
yeah."
see, but I that's why don't ever apologize because I also ramble and go on
Nah, I
20
love it.
topics.
I love it.
But yeah, so um, like when we made like all our Cheese Touch songs that same summer I recorded Leftovers. So it's like I do know the cool thing with Cheese Touch is I have someone else which kind of like gets rid of the perfectionism problem. I mean, I'm still like kind of being a perfectionist, but like having Orno to balance me out, like she's a great person to kind of be more go with the flow and chill. Like she's definitely super intentional and like wants to get something right. But
I know
if
what you mean. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm yeah, I'm like way, I'll like get anxious and so for her, I could make Cheese Touch. So yeah, my abilities and like the equipment I had was definitely way more modern. Like so, like we made Pool and all our Cheese Touch songs, which are definitely like produced and we got them mixed and mastered. But
Yeah.
I thought, okay, if I'm gonna do my own album, it's never gonna be made. It'll take like 10 years. And I have so many friends like that where they're like, "Yeah, I made this song like 10 years ago. Want to hear it?" And it's the best song ever. And they're like, "It's just not ready yet." And I'm like, "What?" I'm so the opposite. I'm like, I need to get it out like ASAP, or else I'm never gonna get it out. I have this like anxiety that's I'm never gonna put it out. Um, so yeah, that was kind of like um I think it's also I think a lot of stuff with filmmaking. So like when you film with, the first music videos like I made for like other people were on like camcorder. And I know a lot of people make like camcorder music videos, but it's like built in vibe. You know what I mean? It's like I don't have to really like meanwhile if I film with this 4K HD camera, but I don't know. Okay, this is sorry, I'm going on a side. And Breaking Bad. Have
Please,
you watched
please.
Breaking Bad?
Oh my God, yes,
Love
of course.
love Breaking Bad. So Hank or not Hank, sorry. I just watched an edit of like a silly edit of Hank. um, I get like weird edits of Breaking Bad on my For You
Okay,
page.
wait. So I
Um,
sorry. Hey, have you seen Dean Norris's tweet? Do you know the tweet I'm talking about? He one time he clearly
no.
meant to search it, but instead he just tweeted it. There's a great Dean Norris tweet. Sex gifs. Dude,
That's
I
so
love it.
funny. He's so funny. The edit I was watching wasn't even from the show. It was like behind the scenes footage of like, but it was like to like a Japanese song. Like but it's
Yeah.
like Hank. But I said Hank, but I meant to say Mike. But
Oh,
I'm
okay,
just
yeah,
like
yeah.
I've been
Mike
watching
Ehrmantraut.
Hank. But Mike says the line like I should have took a full measure, no half measures, Walter, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I like always think of that because I could make something that sounds better, um, or more modern or produced or whatever, but it's like if I don't have the money to get it mixed and mastered by a professional, if I don't have this or whatever, why even try to like halfway do it? I'll just do like what I can do with what's around me, kind of like what you were saying. So yeah, it was it's like, uh I don't know. So sometimes I'll make stuff like that on, I'll use like a camcorder or something, or like for Cheese Touch, I think we might use like a digicam for our music videos, because it's like, look, if we can't afford to make like a full blown out music video, why film on a 4K camera? Like, what's the point? Like, let's just film. It's more fun anyway. Like, let's like not kid ourselves, which again is kind of an extreme way to think. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Like, if you're filming with a 4K, like I have a
If
4K
you're filming
camera
with a
where
4K
yeah.
camera,
Yeah.
fuck you.
Fuck you. But sometimes just because I've worked with a lot of artists as a filmmaker, when I make music videos, and I know they have this elaborate crazy music video in their head, but like you have to be real with yourself. It's like, look, those music videos, all the references you sent me, they had a crew of like 100 people. They had money, they had this, they had a studio, this. I love Robert Rodriguez. I don't know if
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
Robert Rodriguez has his book, which I love, about filmmaking, and I love being like a one man crew, but he's all about like, be realistic, do your cool thing, but do it with what you have. And I don't know, like, yeah, so I don't know what my point is, but I guess my point
No, no, no,
is,
man, you're doing great.
yeah, I think like the
Seriously.
next album I do, I'm still figuring out how I want to. I'm all about process. Like I want to enjoy the process. It has to also be like efficient. It has to be enjoyable where I'm motivated to keep doing it, but it also has to be like, okay, am I going to spend a whole week messing with plugins? Cuz I will. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
not, and I have friends who make music who love that, but for me it's like sucks my soul out, you know?
Yep, 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 yep. That's
So
ADHD,
that
dude. I'm telling you.
exactly, yeah, which yeah, I think I do have ADHD. So I was like, I think yeah, so that kind of directs, which is kind of my philosophy for a lot of stuff, is just like, what do you not like? It usually points you in the direction of what you like
Dude.
and what you should do. Yeah, so which sounds negative, but I think it's good to kind of be a hater for like 5 minutes and be like, okay, I hate doing this. I hate doing this. I hate this type of music. I hate this. And then it's like you're left with like the few things you like. And then it's like, oh, now I don't have to think about, because you get frozen and you're like, making decisions is really hard creatively when, when you're kind of like, you have a million options,
Yeah.
especially,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, so that's why I do think a lot of people will hear Leftovers and be like, I don't want them to get it twisted that I'm like, look, I spent freaking $200 on eBay and bought a 4 track out of my freaking ADHD and anxiety. Um, it's not like a classic, like, man, I had something to say and I gotta put it down on my dad's old 4 track, like I wish it was though. That would have been cool. But
Well, but I will
yeah.
push back on that, Mitch. I
Yeah,
think it
yeah,
is that. I really
yeah.
do. Because again, I promise I'm a very self-involved person. I don't care enough what people think to lie about stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I lost you. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay, I'm such a dumbass. There's a mic mute key button on my keyboard that I hit. And I was like, every so often in interviews, right? Like I'll be like, why isn't the mic working? It's like, oh, I was like, I fucking hit the button that stops it from working. There's literally, it's like, because I had my notebook right on top of it, and I was like, wait, why is that light red? And I was like,
Dude, I was
anyways,
streaming. I was streaming and I lip synced to a song and I muted the song when I meant to mute the mic. So I was just going, and people were like, "What?" In the chat, they were like, "What the fuck is
just
going
wet
on?"
mouth noise
Yeah, just
stream.
wet mouth noise. Sorry, but go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So no, 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 Mitch, you're doing great. So I, 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 I strongly I disagree with what you're saying. I think Leftovers is that album of I
Yeah.
just needed to make it and this is stuff I
Yeah,
had
yeah,
and I
yeah.
did it. And here's the thing, because like when you go out and I don't know Elliott Smith, but
Yeah.
I know of him. I've not listened to a ton of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
using him as an example because he's who you referenced. When you look at Elliott Smith, you see the end product of, oh my god, it's this and this, but to
Yeah,
him,
yeah.
and I think he's no longer with us, but to him it was like,
Mhm.
it was the same. I guarantee you it was the same shit. It was like, man,
Totally.
I got these poems from back then, and I got this old, I don't know, let's see what this does.
Yeah.
So you're operating in the same space as, those kind of people, in the
Definitely. I think the only thing is it was a little calculated where I bought the 4-track, and because I could have recorded it on GarageBand and, blah, 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 blah. But I think it was
oh
a little, you know what I mean?
yeah.
That was my only thing where I was like, yeah. But
Nah, I
I
mean,
just
fuck it,
I
who cares?
love tape. I love tape. If it's video or audio, I just love tape so much. So even if I do something on Logic, I think I'll still like export it onto my 8-track and put it back. You know what I mean? Like I'm
Yeah,
still
yeah,
like I
yeah.
just love that stuff. Yeah.
There is something. I what am I looking for here? Um, I should be sharing screen for some of this, but I just don't. I don't care enough about these stories to like go through the effort of doing it, because by the time I
Yeah.
do, I'll have lost interest. Um,
Yeah.
but like with my new zine, for example, there's kind of a
Mhm.
mix of, some of it was physical, like I wrote stuff, or I don't really do paintings or anything, but um,
Mhm.
like the end result of this, I'll skip all the setup, is I feel like I think that it is a mistake to have digital art, whether it be recording or whatever it
Mhm.
is. I think it is a mistake to have digital art try and replicate physical art.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah.
dislike that fairly adamantly,
Yeah.
um, because it's like, anytime you get any new technology,
Yeah.
there's new stuff you can do. Like, because, and it's not, I don't care. The people selling it to you are dumbasses, and they don't know what the people who make gear. I'm exaggerating slightly, but like,
Yeah.
like Adobe, for example, they don't know, they don't understand creativity. You know what I mean? Like, the
Yeah.
actual the actual juice of creation, to me, I'm speaking for myself here,
Yeah.
is, how do I break this? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
what does this program not want me to do? What is it like? What will crash the program if I do that? And like, well,
Yeah,
fuck it, I'm
yeah.
gonna do that then. You know? Because it's like, that's the stuff where it's like, this something like the Downward Spiral, for example. I and I'm dying to interview Trent Reznor, because this is one of the things I want to ask him, is like, I don't know if that album could have been made 2 years earlier, because it was
Mm,
like,
mhm,
and the
mhm.
great thing about that, like all extraordinary music, is you could hear it now, and it would sound like it came out yesterday. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
that good. But like, it's that thing of just the new, like, using, finding ways to break shit is awesome. And
yeah,
anyways, where I was going with that
yeah.
is, I feel like if the physical stuff is what gets you the juice, then fuck it, work with physical,
Exactly,
like,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, just do whatever works for you. Like, honestly,
yeah,
whatever gets you excited is the right way to do it.
yeah. Yeah,
There's
and I
no,
agree. I hate when, like, especially with music videos or when they try to make something look like film, and I know it's like, well, film's not accessible, so I get it. But it just, like, it always just looks bad to me. Like, it always like, I don't like when or even, like, I have a plugin for called J37 that's, like, the Beatles Abbey Road, like, tape delay plugin, which is cool, but, um, the delay and stuff, all the effects are cool, but to make it, like, sound like tape or whatever, I don't think it does. I don't know. It's like it's like it doesn't, and it's like I don't know. It's kind of like what you were saying. So yeah, I agree. I think we'll see. Either my album's gonna be maybe I will learn to like love plugins and like make stuff on my laptop, or I'll just I don't know, just see if
here's
that 8-track works.
here's what I'm gonna do. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have I wrote down a couple recommendations for you even before we got in here, but I'll send you a
yeah.
bunch of shit. I love sending people stuff, but like,
Yes.
what I'll do for you is, I think there's and this is, I think, what we've been talking about. There's no right way to make stuff. There's just, and there's, in the
100.
same way,
Yeah,
there's no wrong way to make stuff. And like,
yeah.
I'll use Jack White as an example. People probably get annoyed how much I talk about him, but they can go fuck themselves. Um, take something. like Elephant. Do you know that album? It's the one Seven Nation Army's on.
I know that song, but I'm
I'm
not super I
you're
love him as Elvis
Mitch,
in the
you're
Dewey
killing it.
Cox story.
You're
Yeah.
doing great. I need to watch Walk Hard. I've not seen it, but
You gotta watch it.
um, Elephant was recorded using exclusively like equipment
Yeah.
that existed in like uh, before 1963. Like they
Mm.
literally just used tape and like spliced it and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
it's the Jack White thing of like he's like out of his fucking mind. He's that good. Actually, I'm gonna go into story time here. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I saw him in concert in Seattle 2 weeks ago, something like that. And for most of
Oh,
the
wow.
show, I was watching it like, ugh, I was a little bit like, I was a little bit underwhelmed. And then I was watching it, I was thinking about it after, and I was like, I think why I felt that way is I was unable to keep up with him. Because like he does not perform
Mm.
with set lists, all of these things. So he's doing songs from like the first White Stripes album into his solo album over here, and then he's doing a blues cover from the 30s, and like
Yeah.
setlist.fm, that website, for like 12 hours after the concert, people were debating like I think it was the instrumental of his song, but lyrics from a Bob Dylan song.
Interesting.
And I was thinking about it. I was like, I think that might be the most brilliant fucking thing I've ever seen. And in the moment, I was so underwhelmed, and I was like, can you just play some
Mm.
fucking songs I know? But and it occurred to me, I was like, oh wait, I'm watching a like genius, you know?
Mm, mm,
Um,
mm.
anyways, so like even just that one human being, you have
Yeah.
Elephant, that's 1963, all tape
Right.
decks, old kind of shit. And then you have stuff like Fear of the Dawn, a more recent album, which I'll send this to you, which is the most like electro fucking crazy ass guitar tones, like Pro Tools to
Right,
hell.
right.
And they're both
Yeah.
fucking amazing. But it's just,
Mm.
and the thing about what you're saying is like, if you're trying to, you are never going to make the best art you can do, in my opinion, if
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
trying to emulate.
Exactly.
If
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
if I sat down and I'm like, okay, I want to make, I want to make Hurt. I want to make that song. So
Right, right,
I'm gonna
right.
try as hard as I can. I'm gonna get really close to that
Yeah.
tone, and I'm gonna get really close to that one. It's gonna suck, but like, if I,
Yeah.
if you take the emotion of that, and then you're like, okay, I have that. Now what can I do from here? Then
Yeah.
you're gonna get something cool, you know.
Totally. I
So I,
agree because I'll go down sorry, not to interrupt.
no, no, please,
You're
please.
just you just reminded me of something. Literally, I love these videos and then I hate them. It'll be like kind of dissecting like how did Phoebe Bridgers like her producers like how did they get it to sound like this? Oh, it's this plugin, and then they're talking about how the plugin works and blah 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 blah. And then I'm like, that's so interesting. But then I try to just watch it from an entertainment point of view because once I get, I was like, maybe I should buy that because I love like how her one song sounds, whatever. But then it again, kind of like what you're saying, kind of gets into like emulating. And then it's like, well, I should try to figure out my fun combination of plugins or my tape deck or my, because yeah, it's fun. It's cool to get inspired, but I think now, like, especially once you watch one of those videos, your For You page or your algorithm on YouTube, TikTok, whatever, it's just like, how to sound like blah, blah, blah. Like
Yeah,
how to
yeah,
sound
yeah,
like Jack White, how to sound like The Strokes, how to sound
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
then you get all these people who make music and sometimes there's songs that I'm like, "Oh, this would be a good song, but it sounds like a Phoebe Bridgers dupe." And
yeah.
she's like, I think a big one that a lot of people are like emulating and I'll see it and I'm just like sucks because this person's talented, but they're just too trying too hard to sound like the person they love, which I feel myself. It's like Lord of the Rings. It's like the One Ring tempting you. You're like, no, no.
Yeah.
It does feel like you're like, I gotta do it. But so I totally agree with you. But so that's interesting about the Jack White concert. So now when you look back on it, do you have a better like experience in your head versus when you were actually there?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Now I look back on it, it's like I fucking loved that show. It was the best shit I've ever seen. Totally rewrite. It's like I actually funny you mentioned Phoebe
That's
Bridgers, right?
awesome.
I
Yeah.
saw, and I love Phoebe Bridgers. I
Yeah.
twice
Same.
I have gotten two very polite rejection letters from her publicist doing it to try and do an interview.
Oh,
Shout out Chloe, very polite. And also,
oh,
no, this is a good thing what I'm telling you because like the fact that
yeah,
for example, for memory fluid, I probably reached out to like 50 people,
yeah,
and probably 47 of them just no reply. And I don't blame them. It's whatever. They're busy people. But like,
totally.
if someone takes the time to just say, "Oh, sorry, it's not," no thanks.
Yeah,
That I appreciate that a lot.
yeah.
So shout out Chloe.
Shout out
Phoebe is definitely
Chloe.
one of my dream interviews. But
Shout out Phoebe. Phoebe,
uh,
get on here, Phoebe.
I started listening to Phoebe because I used to work at a hotel in Spokane called the Davenport. I was a banquet server, basically a waiter. Um,
Hmm.
and there was a girl who worked there that I had a crush on, who was a big Phoebe Bridgers fan. So to impress her, I started
Mm,
listening to Phoebe Bridgers. And then I went to the Phoebe Bridgers concert in
fantastic.
Spokane, literally just because I was trying to hang out with this chick. Like I just really, and I was too shy to be like, "Hey, I have a crush on you. Do we want to like hang
Yeah,
out?" Or like I couldn't like talk about it. So instead, I was like, "I'm just gonna listen to your music until
yeah.
you're my girlfriend."
Be like, I love Garden Song. What do you think?
Yeah,
You
it's like
know.
maybe do you want to hang out? Do you want to date me yet? It didn't work at all because like of course it didn't. But anyways, so I
Right.
went to that show, and the entire time I was just like, uh, I was so under. But stick with me. I was so underwhelmed because like I didn't know any of the songs. I knew like three of
Right.
them, and then
Yeah.
it was just like this is the Phoebe Bridgers concert is one of two times in my life that I've been a minority because it was me and a bunch of like 15-year-old lesbians, and it's like I've never walked into a space and been like, oh shit, there's more people who don't
Yes.
look like me. That's like
Right.
it
Right.
was a weird feeling, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not comparing that to actual stuff or whatever, but like
No,
the
I
other
get what
time
you're saying.
was Olivia Rodrigo. I walked into that show and I was like, "Wah!" It was like
Yeah.
80% like girls who can't drive yet. But so
Dude, yeah, and
then
you're just like, "Good for you, I'll be happy." No,
dude,
yeah.
I you have no idea. So I literally went. Have you seen The Crow?
No, I've never seen it.
Great movie. Actually, the comic book's better. That's funny. I've been meaning to recommend The Crow, the comic book to Orno, because I think she would love it.
Mm.
I don't know if I get as doesn't matter.
Right,
Um,
right.
I went up kind of like dressed as the main character from The Crow unintentionally. I had the same stuff that's around my eyes, over my whole face, and like crazy hair, the sheer sleeve, fucking
Yeah,
combat boots, and
yeah,
I went there and I was mobbing,
yeah,
dude. Because, like, to me, and Olivia's another person, I also got a very polite no to do an
yeah.
interview with Olivia for this scene. But again, the fact that I got a no, I was like, that means I'm doing
That's
something right.
nice.
Yeah, it's
She's
like,
got a good team. Yeah.
well, and but yeah. Um, so with Phoebe, right? Like, for a long
Yeah.
time, I was like, that show sucked. And then I was in a hotel room in a Cork in Ireland.
Oh, wow.
And I was having like I had accidentally said something. This is not a sad story. This is a funny story. I had
Yeah.
accidentally said something that like upset a girl, a really minor thing. It wasn't not even like medium post bad. Like this is
Mhm.
like maybe they would mention it one time to like a cousin bad, you know, just like I'd said something kind of mean. Doesn't matter. Me- See now I'm doing the thing I was doing then, where now I'm like overthinking it, like, oh wait, am I sounding like I was an asshole? But so I'd said something I'd like maybe sound like a dick, and then I felt really
Yeah.
bad, and I started like crying because I was like I felt so guilty about it, and then I was listening to Phoebe Bridgers in this hotel room and like fucking sobbing, and I was like, oh, I get it.
It
it
clicked. Yeah.
took me about a year and a half, but I was like, actually, her music is really good.
Sometimes that's so I feel the same way. I think with Phoebe Bridgers, I was like, "Yeah, she's cool." And then I think same thing. I was, like, really sad and, like, started listening to, like, Garden Song or something, and I was like, "Oh my god, she's amazing.
Oh,
What
she
the"
painted her
Yeah.
neighbor.
That's amazing. Wow. So does that happen with you when you're sad, you put on sad music? Are you that type of person?
So I think like no matter what, the short answer is yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess this is every so often I encounter a thing with like other people that I'm like, I guess it's never occurred to me that anyone would not do that. Like, are there
Yeah.
people who listen to like happy music when they're sad?
I, for one, am resistant to listen to sad music, which is not good. I think you should, right? So you can like feel your emotions. I probably just won't listen to music at all, but I will be
Huh.
more inclined to be like, oh, let me put on something maybe fun, that'll cheer me up. Maybe like something kind of hype, to kind of like, yeah, whatever. But I am now more literally, I got more into kind of like you were talking about Phoebe, and they have a song together. I started listening to SZA a lot, and it it I it clicked because I was sad in the shower. And I just put on SZA 'cause, kinda in thinking, "Oh, I want something kinda fun or whatever, like hype, like I don't know what I was thinking." Like, didn't really listen to much SZA, and I put on her music, and I just, like, almost start crying. I was like, "Oh my god," and it felt good, so I think I'm converted more now to listen to sad music,
Well,
and, yeah.
it goes back to, and I guess I'm therapizing here. If and
Yes.
as a
Yeah.
general rule of thumb, if I bring up anything and you don't want to answer, you don't want to talk about it, we'll scoot along. So
Totally. No,
I'll
go
give
for it.
my speech here, and you don't even have to get into it if you don't want to. But I feel like
Yeah.
that kind of mindset, and I have a lot of this. Seeing you talk about some of the stuff on YouTube, I'm like, oh yeah, no, I've had that exact same thing happen. I feel
Yeah,
like it's one
yeah.
of those things of like, and I haven't lived your life. I don't know your exact situation, but I think it sounds like
Yeah.
maybe you grew up in some scenarios where it was like, maybe I gotta keep it down a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah, yeah,
Gotta
yeah.
chill out here. And I feel like that's the thing of like when you turn 18, it's not like that doesn't happen. You're just an older kid, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so like all those things stick with you, right? And I feel like that's one of
Mhm.
those things of, I feel like that must just be you like, oh, I'm
Totally.
not supposed to be sad, and I just gotta. But what I have
Yes.
found, and I think you already beat me to this. I think you're already thinking this way, but I feel like the best thing you can do is it's the blue lock thing, right? Of like no matter where the ball comes from,
Mhm.
you're gonna score a
Yeah.
goal. It's like take it all in and then just, wah, and then
Yeah.
just you know. Um.
And you got it,
So
because
yeah,
that shit will, like, ball up and come back as cancer or something. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
actually, so it's like, yeah, something I'm definitely trying to do more, and,
Absolutely, man. Well,
no,
and
I think
that's
that's
like
great.
that's one of those things I've been thinking about too, of like my own mental health stuff. Of like,
Mhm,
it's
mhm,
occurred to one of the oldest kind of bullshit, I think, myths about art, whatever, is that whole
mhm.
thing of like, oh man, Bill Burr talked about this in his special, like, oh man, don't be getting happy, you're gonna lose your edge, and it's the thing of like,
That's a
that
good
is
impression.
that really, I wasn't even
The
trying to
when
do
you
a Bill
said
Burr.
Ed, I was like, "Wait, that was actually a good Bill Burr impression."
Shit. Okay, I got some Bill Burr in
Yeah.
me. All right.
Yeah.
I love him, but
Yeah.
like he it's that thing that idea is exclusively said by like um either people with tons of undiagnosed childhood trauma or
Yeah.
dumb people who haven't made art. And
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's the thing of if your brain is spending time worrying like, did I upset that girl because
Yeah.
I said this minor thing? Like if you're thinking about that, your capacity to think about art and make cool art is drastically diminished, because it's also the thing of like
Yeah.
I have like really bad depression. I still do. It comes up,
Mm.
you know, it's just like a part of my life. It's gotten better, but it's still there. And
Yeah.
like there have been times, even like this week there have been times where it's like I'm so depressed I like can't get out of bed. And it's that thing
Yeah,
of
yeah.
like people talk about that as like, well man, you just got to put that in the art, but it's like the thing of like, but I can't make art if I can't get out of my fucking bed,
Exactly.
you
Yeah,
know?
it's stupid, and it's also like, look, I don't wanna have a tragic, terrible, like, end of my life like a lot of those artists from the past. Like, I'm not trying to be like Van Gogh, you know what I mean? And, like, cut my ear off and, like, I don't know, it's like I think I wanna go to therapy and be able to enjoy, and process stuff, and, I 100% agree. I think, yeah, I don't,
Yeah, I'm following you.
also, like, your art doesn't always have to be like that, you know what I mean?
Mm,
Like, I think a lot of people some people wanna make, like, you know, like, Sanrio type beat, some, like, cute, fun art or whatever, and they might be like, "I don't wanna put this part of my life into my art. So I think,
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes, yeah, it's like, no, I just want to process it, go to therapy, and live like a healthy mental health. Yeah, I think I definitely. It's almost like when you're on an airplane and they tell you to like take care of yourself before you take care of like your baby or something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's kind of like if the
Fuck
baby's
that
art.
baby.
Yeah, yeah, fuck that. Yeah, no, because it's like if you don't take care of your mental health, like you said, like how are you gonna make art? How am I gonna get out of bed if I don't eat because I'm depressed or anxious? I'm
Yep.
not gonna have the energy to make art, and it's like, yeah, I could also process it in my art, but it's like I should also just process it in general, and then maybe choose to share it, in my art. But I 100% agree. I think, and thank you for sharing that. And I think that's good for you. I got out of bed at like 1 p.m. today, so like I
My
relate with,
goat.
yeah. It's hard, man. That's like the biggest accomplishment is getting out of bed, and
Yeah, and it's like
yeah,
people make fun of that idea, but that's another
yeah,
thing to me of like
yeah.
what that tells me about people who say that is like, oh, you have never experienced like depression.
Yeah,
Cause like
exactly.
cause like for someone like me, and I gather for someone like you, that
Yeah.
is true, you know? And for
Yeah.
some people maybe it's not, but like I don't know. Um
Yeah.
I had a thing and I don't remember what it is, so I'm gonna pivot to another thing. And by the way, there's no time limit on this whatsoever. I'll talk for
Yes,
7 hours. I don't mind. But
I
um,
got you.
if you need to run anything, just let me know and I'll cut you loose. Um,
Got you.
circling to cheese touch a little bit, which I guess I haven't cheese touched on so much. All right. Oh, hey, actually, this is unrelated to anything. I'll get back
Cool.
to my question later.
Yeah.
Actually, do you have any impressions?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Oh, come
I
on, come on.
could do.
Do
Okay, let me
I
see
can
how
do one
good.
first if you need to warm
Yeah,
up.
let's go back and forth. So you go
But
first. Should we try to guess what they are? Is that
sure. I can
I don't
promise
want
you
to embarrass.
several of mine you won't know. I can like
Okay, you could just tell me that. Tell me what is it?
well, I'll tell you what. The first one you might know. It's like a 2 minute impression. Is that all right?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So this is like a long joke, but it's like one of my favorite
Yeah,
jokes
yeah,
of all
yeah.
time. It's like, oh, I had a dream recently. It was all about the number seven, right? It was the most vivid dream I've ever had. And I woke up and wouldn't you know it, it's 7 a.m. and oh, it's the
I think I
strangest
know
thing. It
exactly
is
who you're doing. Wait, go keep
and then
going.
I said, well, I'm feeling lucky today, so I think I'm gonna go to the horse races. So I go there and I take cab number seven, right? We go on Seventh Avenue there, and I get out of the car. It takes about 7 minutes, and the fare in the cab is $7.77, and I'm like, oh, isn't that weird? I thought it was like 25 cents a mile or something, but okay. So I give him like $8, right? And then I get into the horse betting place, and I go up to the counter and I put some money on a couple of the horses, and then I see in the seventh race, in the seventh position, with odds of 77 to 1, there's a horse, lucky number seven. So I take all my money off all the other horses, about $700, and I put it all on a lucky number seven. And well, God damn it, if it didn't come in seventh.
Norm Macdonald.
Eh.
Yay! That was very good. Like
Thank
it
you.
was great because I knew not even because what you were saying, just how you were saying. I knew instantly. I was like, "Oh, you're doing Norm. You're really good at the, that like that." I think you could also do. Do you have a Quentin Tarantino impression?
I've never tried. I'd have to think about that one.
I think he's similar to your own voice and to Norm Macdonald's because I can't really do an impression of him, but he's like, all right, he's like, all right,
The hands are there. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, my impressions are just like, this. I want to do an ASMR of this, but I mean, I'll give it away probably from what I'm saying, but it's
Hell
like,
yeah.
it'll be let me find it. Christopher Robin. No, I just need a pot of honey. But I want to do an ASMR called this is a spoiler, but it would be called like at the DMV. I don't know what the title would be. It'd be like at the DMV ASMR. Also, Winnie the Pooh is there. and Winnie the Pooh is like in so it's just like really like boring DMV type situation. Like you have to like get your real ID or something like that. And Winnie the Pooh's in front of you. And I'm gonna like pre-record all that where it's just like, excuse me, what's your address? A 100-acre wood. And it's just like Winnie the Pooh is like, well, I brought my birth certificate and I brought like he just doesn't have enough points to get his real and he's just arguing. That's like the only impression I think that's like okay. Otherwise, I don't know. I used to annoy my ex-girlfriend. I would always do like it's not that good, but she'd be like, but 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 merge. I would just like do this like terrible like Homer Simpson or whatever, but like it was just but I love the Norm Macdonald is like that's like did you practice that or were you just like you've watched so much Norm Macdonald where you're like it's like in your head, you know?
So it's a combination, right? Like I just think that joke is really funny. So I was just walking around like saying it to myself because I thought it was so funny. And then like I've done the impression just for like family members a few times, but
Yeah, yeah.
um the other I'm bringing out the big guns here. Do you want to see my impression of Waka Flocka Flame in New York City?
Yeah.
So he's like he's in New York City, in the Big Apple, the Windy City, and he's walking around and like he almost gets he almost gets hit by a taxi and he's like, "Hey, I'm Waka Flocking here."
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Right? Right?
That's a good one to pull out. Hey, have you ever done a stand up or an open mic?
I've thought about you know what's funny is like people for a long time told me I should like try that and I was like,
Yeah.
but those people are really good at it. I feel like I would suck. So no, I never have, but
Yeah.
I
I
probably
would
will
say
do
most
one like
people are bad at it though, honestly. Honestly, especially when you're going up. I think you do a good one. Even if you just do impressions, like
I
yeah,
think
that'd
I, I think I will try one at some point because I keep having these like it's again I apologize how much I'm referencing anime, but it's like it's genuinely it's like how I think about life.
yeah.
There's this great moment in season 2 of Hajime no Ippo where like Takamura, one of the uh Ippo, the main character, is a featherweight and
Mm.
Takamura is like a middleweight, whatever. So he's a bigger guy. And there's this
Mhm.
fight where he's also I really I I do really want to talk about anime with Orno, not because like she's
Yeah.
Japanese girl and therefore she has great thoughts about anime,
Right,
because
right.
there's such interesting depictions of like Americans in it. And I think she
Yeah.
would find that really interesting. And like this one in particular, this
Yeah.
character Brian Hawk is his name, Brian Hawk, and he's like he's all like he's just the grossest fucking guy. And at the press conference, he's talking about like I'm gonna fuck every Japanese woman in the world, and then you'll have world champions. And it was like, oh
Right.
my
Just being
god,
really like rude American. Yeah.
yeah, and it's the thing of like he's like trying to fight Takamura in the thing is like for him it's for Brian it's not boxing. He's just like I just want to fucking kill that guy. He doesn't even care
Yeah.
about the sport. He just loves violence, right? And like
Mm.
there's this great moment where Takamura looks at his coach and he's like I don't have to hold back, right? And I was like because for the whole show for like a season and a half he's been fighting opponents just way below his level
Mm.
and like I fucking love that stuff, dude. Just the
Yeah,
idea
yeah,
of like,
yeah.
and I've my entire life, and this only occurred to me recently. My entire life, I've been searching for like the places I can just fucking go insane. Cause like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so much of the time, I have to like we gotta chill out a little. I gotta hold back. But like
Yeah, yeah.
that's one of the things I love about like my zines. And as I've gone on, they just get more and more insane. And like,
Yeah.
did you have a chance to check out the new one, by the way, Memory Fluid?
I did see not like on via the PDF.
Oh yeah, no, that
So
counts.
yes, so yeah. I didn't get to read through the whole thing though
No, 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 you're
because
chilling,
I
you're
was
chilling.
kind of like over Orno's shoulder looking through it. But I can kind of see what you're saying because it's like I've never seen a zine that's like so colorful and like each page is like underneath the text there's like an artwork, like going
Yeah,
on,
yeah.
you know.
Well, and that was
Yeah.
yeah, that was an evolution from and I'm happy to send you your own. I probably won't mail them because they cost so much to print, but I'd be happy to send
Yeah.
you a PDF.
Yeah,
But
send me a PDF.
and well, and the cool thing about that is like I'm actually really proud of how I've done like the digital versions of them because like it's
Yeah.
not just a shitty version of the print, it's its own
Yes.
thing. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like I treat them differently. Like the digital art, there's like I have made artwork, especially for memory fluid, that is like unprintable. Like especially like the first
Mm.
copy I got from the printers like sucked because I didn't realize like,
Yeah.
oh, I made a bunch of things that a printer does not know what that is,
Yeah, it's
you
like
know?
too much. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I had to do it the new the version that I'm selling tomorrow looks gorgeous. But
That's
so I'll
awesome.
send you your own versions of it. But like
Yeah.
there's a story in there that I love that I was so terrified to. Have you read or seen American Psycho?
I saw the movie. Yeah.
The movie's amazing. It's like
Yeah.
it's very different from the book.
Yes.
It keeps the attitude. The attitude is there,
Yeah.
and they're both amazing versions. The book is like I was talking about this with Orno, so I well whatever. Here's the
Yeah.
thing. In my head, I keep going like, oh, people in the audience have heard me talk, but the thing I think about is like, fuck the audience. I don't care. Like I think about it as like
Yeah, yeah.
Mitch is the only person in the world right now, and I'm just
Yeah.
I if the audience has to hear this story for the 20th time, fuck them. But like American Psycho
Yeah.
is a book that is so like disgustingly violent. Like it
Mm.
reads like Saw, you know, to the point of
Mm.
like there's like no boundary of like taste or anything that the author is unwilling to cross. And it is so like shockingly disgusting. And like I don't know if I'll be able to read the book again because it is
Yeah, yeah.
so like it's gross, but there's such an unhinged nature of it. In the movie, it does a great job of capturing the energy, but it's a different formatting of it, right? Like in the book, the entire time you're reading it and you're like, "Oh, Patrick is it's not just like towards the end of the movie, it gets into like obviously he's psychologically fucked up, but in the book, like the entire time, he has like a very loose grip on reality. You know, like
Mm.
there's parts where he's talking to like a masseuse and he's going in this whole rant about how he wants to like kidnap a woman and like transfuse her blood with that of a dog and like trade them and just see what happens. And I'm like, it's like the
Yeah.
most disgusting thing you've ever heard.
Yeah.
And he just says it in normal conversation, and the other person just like keeps on talking, and you're like, wait, is Patrick? What's happening right now? And there's like
Yeah,
this other
yeah.
part of it where he goes to a U2. I'm rambling on, but he goes to a U2 concert, and there's this great moment where like Bono's on stage, and then like Patrick looks at him, and I don't know if it's real or it's hallucination or whatever, but he has this thing of like Bono's just staring at him, and the entire concert hall disappears, and these letters appear above him. I am the devil, and I am just like you. And I'm like,
Oh.
what the
Yeah.
fuck, you
Yeah.
know? So stuff like that is like just it's just like out of its fucking mind. So like
Yeah.
The reason I mentioned American Psycho is that like if that directly inspired one of the stories in my zine, which is like it's definitely the most unhinged part of it, and it was the one I was most afraid to write. And I'm like, I'm kind of terrified to see how people react to it. But
Mhm.
basically, I wrote this like whole story about a guy who's like really mad at his wife because she's not wearing like the lip gloss he bought her, so he like cuts off her face as like revenge, which is like obviously a very extremely violent story, but it is I don't know, and it's that thing of like a lot of people are gonna see it and be like, "Fuck that, that's gross," and that's fine. If it's
Right,
not for
right.
them, it's not for them. But like I feel like that book especially gave me like the tenacity to just be like, I whether or not people realize it like I am making a commentary like that's not it's not just I'm not just being shocking like I'm trying to say
Right.
something
Yeah, yeah.
like whether or not people realize that I don't know but like I I don't know like this is all a very long rambling way of saying like I love that when you're able to just go like when you think you've gone too far fucking just keep going you know
Right.
like
Yes.
I
Yeah, yeah.
adore that so anyways
Yeah.
um I do have like plenty of ideas for stand up if I could do that kind of thing. You were about to speak. Go ahead.
No, no, I was just saying, like, is that would you say the book is way more violent than the movie?
Oh,
Like,
yes.
yeah,
Like
way
by a
more.
factor of like 1,000.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like, yeah, that's I have to see that again because I know they're remaking it, right?
Are they? Oh, I
Again?
don't know. I'm tuned out on this
I
stuff.
heard they are, a lot of people are like but apparently to be more like the book, possibly? That's what I heard. I don't know.
Interesting. I don't know anything about it, but could be. Yeah.
I gotta
It's
look into it.
here's the thing. If you've seen the movie, that's great. That's a great version of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
story. It's just as good. It's a different thing. And like I'll
Right,
just
yeah.
tell you, the book's not for everyone. If you have a low
Yeah, yeah,
tolerance
yeah.
for violence, like just don't read it, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
But I really love it. But your
yeah.
mileage may vary. Uh, but yeah, so like I do have all these ideas for like things I could do with stand up. Like I for a
Yeah,
long
yeah.
time I've so badly wanted to do this. I really wanted to go to work and have a Ziploc bag of marinara sauce in my pocket for like 4 hours, and then just like randomly in conversation, just grab a handful of marinara sauce in my pocket, like, oh, you want some?